What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Dark Waters, and I'm back. You know, I've had a hell of a lot of people reach out to me, and they're like, yo, DW, man, I love when you do the call in shows. I love when you just talk to people. And so today I'm talking to my girl, Akia, and I'm like, man, I think I should do another show. And I was like, but I don't know what I'm going to name it. And she was like, name it Wade into the Waters, into the Dark Waters. I said, you know what? Why not? Let's give it a shot. And I got an email today from a friend of mine who's been in the radio business for a very long time, who got an opportunity to listen to the last couple of shows. And his exact words was, hey man, start sharpening your skills again. Because I think there's definitely a time slot for you on one of the local radio stations. And I said, can I talk paranormal? He says, yeah, you can talk paranormal. I said, well, you know what? Let me just start sharpening mid-knife here. It's really a sword. Start sharpening the sword. So you guys will be hearing a lot from me. Just me getting back into the feel, into the flow of the conversation. Me getting my instincts back, which is slowly coming back when it comes to like live radio. It's pretty decent now, but I mean it used to be damn near psychic abilities when talking to people live on air. So I wanted to do something. Just come on over, say hello, see what we can do. Open up some phone lines, see who want to call, who want to talk, who don't want to talk. Um, First things first, same phone number, 504-354-0143, 504-354-0143. Call. This show, we talk about anything. The only thing I want to stay away from is the donut shots, because you know the donut shots will get you in trouble on the YouTube. Um, and paranormal topics, anything. Dog man, Bigfoot, werewolves, monsters, demons. I don't care. Absolutely don't care. But more importantly, I want to just sharpen the skills. And you'll see over time as it gets better and better. Because I have to work out a couple of things like the that I picked up over time. Where I would say I have to work those things out. And you have to practice to work those things out. So, with that being said, let me take a look in the chat and see who's in the chat, how many people are in the chat. We are at 53 people on Friday night, which is relatively difficult to do because it's a Friday night. Most people out running in the streets, hanging out, doing other things. So for those of you who are here, you are greatly appreciated. And I have an impromptu truth here, casual conversations. My girls, how y'all ladies doing? Lakea's here as always because she's a staple. Candy Girl, uh, Samantha Suddeth, Junior, Joseph McKintry, Mindy A. Snyder. Thank you guys. Phone number's up top, 504-354-0143. I'm going to tell you guys a few little stories. Now, because I'm taking the governors off, I want you to understand some of these stories I might just get to talking about. This is the hardcore stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, um, we want to make sure that you understand you're not listening to made up stuff. These are stories and encounters that people have had, things that have actually happened to them and their families. For example, like, hey, Marquita, the beautiful Marquita. Marquita has seen a doppelganger of herself. And I remember her telling me that. Like, she's seen a doppelganger. What's up, Z Wiki? Um, she's seen a doppelganger of herself, which is scary enough. So I just want you guys to be mindful when we start moving away from like hardcore cryptids and conversations like Dogman and Bigfoot, we really, really get into the dark waters. Because some of these stories that I will be saying and telling, like, literally provoke activity. They've done it live on air. It's happened. That's two ums. That's not bad. Two ums in the past, however many minutes, 7 minutes. They literally provoke activity. So, if you hear me going into something that's demonic and you feel like, this is not good, then what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes and say a little prayer. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want you to do. Just close your eyes, say a little prayer. It will be okay. and things will work out fine for you. But at the same time, remember, these are real stories, 100% real. So let's start with one of the most terrifying ones. And you've heard me tell this before. I've sold this on many of interviews. The first one, three ums. See, we're working on it. When you guys hear me say I need to give some money away to somebody in the chat. You're gonna help me work through this, guys. We're gonna stop that. $1 per to, let's see, Cash App dollar per excluding when I'm talking about saying the word I want to be clear. To who's there? I'm gonna be a trick. I'm gonna trick it to Candy Girl. Candy Girl, put your Cash App in the chat. $1 per And the reason why it's important for me to do it this way is because I respect money, and it'll stop me from doing it. Back to what I was saying. So this story, I've told it on, let's see, Darkness Radio. I told it on Spaced Out Radio. I've told it on, I'm looking at the logo. I definitely told this story on Heather Wade's show, and people like freaked out. But there's another podcast. It really was a live show, but it had like a skull for the logo. I think the guy's name was Barton. Barton Nunnerly used to have a talk show. In fact, why am I saying it like this? You know what? That's $1. We have his contact information here. Well, we used to, because that's old stuff. There's so many phone calls that's come in since then. All right, here we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. It's going to be here. He's going to be here. Not Jim Mallet. Spooky South Coast. Maybe it wasn't Spooky South Coast. One more. Let me take one more look. I think it was Spooky South Coast. For the record, ladies and gentlemen, while I'm talking to you, I am sipping on the Empress tea, Chaga tea. Something that if you have not gotten this inside of your cabinet before, if you don't have it now, you need to get this before we go into the hardcore flu season. Chaga tea, chaga mushrooms. You can buy them on Amazon. Uh, that's another $1. Candy, you're gonna fall in love with me, baby. All this money I'm giving you. You can buy them on Amazon. You put them in a little pot or a tea kettle, bring it to a boil, and you sip on it. For me, it helps with my voice, but also it gives you literally every vitamin and mineral that you need. And this tea goes back to Chinese emperors. That's how far it goes back. And I didn't turn the ringer off, so there's another problem. See, those kind of things can't happen later. Even though that's Eric Porter, who I love to death, who's a real OG. So, Chaga tea, guys. If you don't have it, get it. So let me finish this. The person that I was talking to when I first told this story was, because I just saw it, Steve Barton is his name. And Steve Barton had a show called, where are you, Steve? We're talking about Halloween. And you guys have to understand, I've done a lot of interviews through Skype. So there's like hundreds of contacts in here. And it does not give me. Let's keep on digging. I want to know. Nonetheless, Brainwaves Radio. That's exactly what it was. All right, so let me get back to the story. So it was Brainwaves Radio was the very first time I told this story. And on Brainwaves Radio, while I was live on air, people were actually messaging, calling in, and saying that they were experiencing paranormal activity. So when this initially happened, I'm thinking that these guys are like playing a trick on me. It's one of those things where we got Dark Waters on. He tells spooky, scary stories, and so I'm thinking they're all in studio together. They come up with this plan where they're going to talk about paranormal things that are happening while I'm live on air, but they're not letting me in on the skit. Like, okay, y'all running game, but you're not letting me in on the game, so I don't know what's going on. That's how I felt when this happened. I'm thinking, okay, y'all playing with my mind. Don't do that, because I'm telling you real stories. Don't do that. Well, whoa, lo and behold, I get off this particular interview. Um, that's another. I get off of this particular interview, and I started getting emails from people saying, "Hey, while you were talking about that night of hell, demon, I saw shadows moving in my bedroom." Another person said they saw a shadow moving down the hallway. Another person said something pulled on their covers. And there was one more. Oh, a face in the closet. And I'm talking about emails coming to me at home after the show's over. Probably 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And for the record, when I get through with the interview, normally I'll sit there and kind of unwind. And worst case scenario, I'll get up and go outside and smoke a cigar and kind of let my mind relax and unwind and unravel my mind, because you have to tap into, for me personally, I have to tap into like my file cabinets in my head to get those stories. And it's actually kind of stressful because you're going back months and years mentally and pulling up a story and the emotions of a person from years ago. Now to the story. This woman and her daughter, she was divorced. Her and her daughter were sleeping in the same bed together because she went through the divorce. Extremely small, one bedroom home. And when she first called me, and let's put a thumbnail or a thumbtack into this real quick. See, that's the kind of stuff I got to work on right there. Let's put a thumbtack into this real quick. This was prior to me understanding how to defend myself from dark spiritual forces. So this conversation was very unnerving for me back then. When it first, I mean, very, very unnerving. And so we start this conversation, and she says, "Well, Dog Waters, I know you don't like to talk about demonic things, but I kind of need some advice and assistance in understanding of what this may have been and what caused it or what provoked it." I tell her, keep going. I'm trying to keep, level headed and relaxed and, not show any fear, but I could feel, based on the words she had already said, that this was absolutely terrible. And it turned out to be just that terrible. She says, "Well, one night I'm laying in bed with my daughter. I'm under the cover, she's under the cover. And she falls asleep. And, well, not fall asleep, but she's in between sleep. You know how when your eyes are first getting heavy, you can still hear like the TV in the background. If your eyes are closed, you can still kind of see the flashes of light from your television. It's that in between state when you're going to sleep. And there's something about that state, I think, there's something about that state that makes us vulnerable. Well, it's that in between state where she starts to feel something tug on the cover. She feels the first tug and ignores it. The second tug, she opens her eyes, and so now her eyes are trying to adjust to the darkness of the room. And once her eyes adjust, she sees what looks like a hand on the spread. Now, if you guys have heard this story before, you understand this is the exact same story I've shared over and over again. She sees what's like this bony arm and hand on the edge of the bed by her feet, like on top of the cover. So now she starts to slide her body up on the pillow and looks in that direction, and it goes away. So she tells herself, "Man, maybe I was freaking out. Maybe I'm hallucinating. Maybe it's a bad dream. I'm not sure what's going on." So she tries to go back to sleep. She gets right back in that same state, the state where you're right about to go to sleep. We're talking about you can still hear sounds from a television. You're still halfway present minded, but you're going away. You're going to that dark place. You're going to where you're going to go to sleep. And this time, she feels something climbing onto the bed. Like she literally feels the body, like the body weight pressing down on the bed. So now she opens her eyes and she sees this creature, pale skinned, skinny, bony. And what I mean by skinny and bony, I mean imagine bones with no muscle under them, to where the skin is actually on, like on the bones, wrapped around the bones. That's what I mean by skinny bony. I don't mean, skinny like a person who's just skinny. I mean like literally no body fat at all. Climbing into the bed, it's already reaching and touching her daughter's leg. But her daughter's leg is under the cover, but it's reaching up on top of the cover, touching her daughter's leg. Its head is flipped upside down. So imagine you take, your head, look in the mirror, look in your cell phone, right? Let's take Marquita. She's gorgeous. Take Marquita's beautiful face, flip it upside down to where her mouth is at the top, her eyeballs are at the bottom. There's no way she could be this horribly ugly. But take that and make it bony, skinny, emaciated, and then add this reddish tint to the eyes. That's what this woman saw, reaching for her daughter. And I thought she was extremely brave, because the first thing she does, the first reaction she has, is to grab her daughter and start kicking at it. When she kicks at this thing, it reaches for her. She kicks at it again. It reaches for her again. So now she's literally in the bed holding her daughter, who's now waking up, screaming, kicking at this thing that's at the base of her bed. She hits it in the face. It scurries back, literally backwards out of the door and down the hallway. That's the story. Now, here's what happens after the story while she and I are talking. We're talking, and she says, I don't understand what it was or why it was here. Again, this is before I had an understanding of not only how to defend myself, but some of the gifts that I've learned that I actually have when it pertains to the paranormal. This is before I had any understanding of that. So I'm freaking out. I know it's demonic. There's no way around it. And I've told you guys, true evil always targets children. And it's been a consistent theme when it comes to true evil in a household. It's always targeting a child. It's just consistent, period. If someone's evil, they're going to target a child. If there's an entity that's evil, it's targeting the child, period, hands down. So I knew that back then. I knew that information. And so I didn't really have answers for her. I just told her, I said, listen, I think this is very, very evil. It targeted your daughter. It could have targeted you. And so we walked back through what had happened in her life, the divorce, which led to her and her daughter being in this place, in her emotional state where she was. And she turned out to be very, very vulnerable. Pause right there. So now I have all this information. I want to know the truth. The following day, I get in the car. I ride over to St. Claude Avenue, and I go see Sally Ann Glassman. Sally Ann Glassman is a hoodoo practitioner here in New Orleans. Voodoo Voodoo is really what she is. Damn it, that's another Candy, you coming up today. That's 5. She's a voodoo practitioner here in New Orleans. Has her own kind of botanical shop where they sell the candles and all the rest of the stuff. She's literally one of the top, if you go look her up in magazines, she's like one of the top 20 witches in America. So I walk in, I'm sitting down talking to her, and I tell her this experience. And she says, James, what did you feel when this lady was talking to you? She was like, what words came to your mind when this woman was talking to you? I was like, I don't understand what you mean, Sally. She said, what words came to mind? She said, I'm going to tell you what words came to my mind when you told me the story that she told you. But what words came to mind? And I said, I don't remember what came to mind. I was freaked out. And she's like, something came to mind at that point in time, and it told you what it was. But you ignored it because you were too afraid. And so she gives me this lesson on what fear is, how fear blocks your ability to see things for what they really are in the spiritual realm, like literally in the spiritual realm. And she says, well, what I find hard to believe about you is I know about you. I've known about you and your friends for a long time. And she says, I don't think you're really a guy that's scared of many things or many people, but when it comes to this, for some reason, you're afraid. So I explain to her, listen, I don't know how to fight a ghost. I don't know how to fight a demon. You know, a dude on the street, that's easy to deal with. You know what I'm saying? The police, that's easy to deal with. Like, this stuff, I don't know. So she says, well, what came to me while you were telling that story and came to me very, very strongly was a night of hell. I'm like, a night of hell? She's like, yeah, it was a night of hell. So then she goes into the to the right of her desk into this little, it's like kind of like a cubby hole with a curtain over it. She walks into that cubby hole with the curtain, comes out with a book, flips the book open, and shows me this entity that is literally what this woman described. She said, this is a night of hell. She said, so the question that you need to figure out is what's going on in that woman's house that had a night for hell come for her daughter? Or what's up with her daughter that a night of hell wants to come for her daughter? Now, we're getting into stuff that we've never discussed before. I've never discussed this anywhere. It's 80 people in here. Please hit the like button. Let's get to 120, 100. Y'all still with me in the chat? Y'all following me? Because this is the hardcore, old school, just running it. And the phone lines are open too if you want to call in and talk. But this is me just running it. Like I said, I want to work out some of the kinks. So you're going to get a gift tonight as I work out some of these kinks, baby. Let's get rid of you. Excuse me. Sorry. See, that's the kind of stuff that can't happen. All right. Remember where I left off, guys. We're in Sally Ann Glassman's store. She just opened the curtain. Hey, this is Dark Waters. What's your name and where you calling me from, my friend?
Hello? Oh, from Levelland, Texas.
Oh,
it's
man.
Will.
What's up, Will?
You know, you were the one that was telling me to call in last night. Well, it started out whenever I was 21, I was going out and I was helping people move equipment. Well, one of the equipment broke down and I knew how to fix it, so I got underneath there, and that operator that was there with me, we had went underneath there together, and it was dark. It was at like 2:30 in the morning. But whenever we got under there, he told me, hey, there's some wolves out here, and so we got to make it quick. I was like, what do you mean, wolves? He's like, have you ever heard of the Mexican Lobos? I was like, yeah, I heard of them. And, good Lord. Anyways, whenever we were out there and underneath that, it was a bulldozer. We were under there. We were changing out the filter to the diesel to get the air out. And we were under there, and I heard something, and I seen some feet, and they were like paws, man. That's all I could say. They were like paws. They were the size of a human's foot. They were literally like a human's foot. And after that, we got done, and I'm sorry, it's really hard trying to explain this.
Take your time. Crazy is what we do over here, brother, so don't worry about it. Literally, crazy, insane, crazy stuff is what we talk about, so you don't have to be self-conscious whatsoever.
Anyways, we were under there, and we were sitting there, and he's like, hey, you remember those wolves I was telling you about? I was like, yeah. He's like, you see those feet? That's what I'm talking about. He's like, let's try to get this done and try to get it done as quick as we can. Because I give it about 10 minutes, it'll be gone. We sat there for 10 minutes, it was gone. He said, we got 10 minutes to get the fuck out of here. We loaded that fucking bulldozer up, and we were out of there, dude. And I'm serious. Literally, in 10 minutes after it left, we were gone. Literally. And then I'm working for a tire shop now, and it was in February. It was before we moved to the new shop we're in now. And they sent me to a service call. Well, it was on a backhoe tire, the front tire, and they said it's a flat. So I went out there, and that operator had all this stuff ready to go. Like, literally, he said, I got a funeral to go to. Well, he got his stuff, threw it in his truck, and he was gone. He flew out of there. He was wanting to get the fuck out of there for some odd reason. I didn't know what it was. Well, and out there they have cattle, which people go out there in their pickups and they feed them. Well, when I pulled out there was a herd. I mean, about 50 cows out there waiting on me to get cues for them, and I didn't have none. Well, I'm sitting there. I start the compressor and everything, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out where it's leaking from, and it's leaking from the bead. Well, I get a hammer and I hit the bead on the rim where it's leaking at, and trying to get it to seal. All of a sudden, all them fucking cows except one cow kept inching closer and closer to me, and she kept looking to. I would say she would look at me and she would look straight. She would look at me because I'm catty corner. I'm like at a 90-degree angle.
Uh huh.
And well, I'm at that 90-degree angle, and she looks at me, and then she'll look, and she'll inch closer and closer to me. I was like, all right, I ain't got no cues for you. You need to get the fuck away from me. Quit getting closer. And well, we're sitting there. I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to fix that tire, and I finally realized she got maybe 5 feet away from me, and she's looking at me, and she looks at another 90-degree angle again, and I look at what she's looking at, and there's something behind the mesquite bush, man. And I could barely see it. It had its ears. I could see some long-ass ears. They're about 2 to 3 inches. And it had a dog snout, and that's all I can see. I can see the eyes, too. The eyes were green. They were a neon green.
Really?
And this was in the daytime too. Yes, it was a neon green to like a yellowish color. Really. And I don't know.
You said in the
what
daytime?
In the daytime, yes, sir.
That's freaky.
Yeah, you're telling me. And I seen that. I threw all my shit in the truck and I hauled ass. I didn't even fix that tire. It was still flat when I left.
That's freaky. When we
Yes,
say the
sir.
daytime, we mean 12 noon in the day. We mean like 4 in the evening.
It was actually they sent me out there at 10:30, and I got there at like 11:30, right around there. By the time I got back, it was after I left there. I was there for like maybe 30 minutes or so, but I hauled ass back, and I got there back to the shop 5:12. After I seen that, I was gone, dude. I was out of there.
That's crazy.
Did you fix it? Did you fix it? I was like, no. They're like, why? I said, I'm going home. And they're like, well, why do you want to go home? I was like, don't ever send me out there again. Ever. I said, I do not want to work the service truck no more. So now I'm working in the shop. I don't run a service truck. I don't do service calls or nothing like that no more.
Let me ask you this, Will. Has anybody else that's been running the service truck had any crazy stuff?
Man, there's a guy that I've been trying to get to tell me something, and I know he's seen something because I can tell in his eyes. I asked him, hey, man, have you seen anything literally, like, have you seen some weird shit out there in the field? He's like, well, yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. I was like, what have you seen? He's like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to tell you. Like, he would stop me right there. He's like, I'm not going to talk about it. That's enough. I don't want to talk about it. And every time I bring it up, he's shaking. Every time I ask him, he'll start shaking, and you can see the fear in his eyes. That's what's crazy about it, man.
Wow.
Over here in Texas, and we're right over here by the Panhandle. That's where I'm at. I'm in West Texas. I used to live hours south of San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I mean,
yeah, you in the
I've
area
seen some
where all
shit
that
down there
crazy
too.
stuff go down. Wait, let me ask you
Yes,
this,
sir.
Will, before you go forward.
Yes, sir.
What did he call it again when you guys were under the tractor? He said you've heard about the Mexican Lobos. What was it he said?
The Mexican Lobo.
Lobo. Okay,
Yes,
I had
sir.
never heard that
It's
term before. Lobo.
It's Lobo. Yes, sir. It's wolf in Spanish.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Let me write that down because I want to make sure I remember that, and that's the only way that brain is gonna get that one. I'm terrible with names. I'm good with big things, but names I'm horrible with it. All right, you were saying you
I'm
saw
the
some
same
other
way.
stuff down there.
Sir?
You were saying you saw some other stuff when you were south of San Antonio.
Yes, sir. It was during dove season. It was in September. I was 16. We had somehow, I don't know what it was, but we had gotten out for school, and we went to go see some family down there because I have family down there and I have family up here. Well, we went to go see my grandma and grandpa, and then we went out to my cousin's house, me and my brother. It was me, my brother, my cousin, and his buddy. We went dove hunting. Well, We were walking around, we were shooting doves, we were about at our limit. It was just me and my brother that had to get 2 more doves. He said, you know what, let's walk back to the back of the pasture and see what we can get and walk through it. Well, we had walked to the back. I had shot one, and I had got it. My brother had shot and missed one, and then he had told us, well, let's go in and let's cut through there so we can make our way back because it's starting to get dark. We said, all right, well, let's go. And so we start going in there, and we hit a big old bunch of doves. Man, me and my brother, we got our limit, and we got a little bit extra, though. Well, when we started picking up the doves, I had shot a dove, and it went into this bush. Well, this bush, it was about 8 foot long and about maybe, I would say, 5 or 6 feet wide. And it wasn't just a bush. It was literally like some of the brush we had cleaned out the day before. We had cleaned it out and threw it in a pile. Well, something went and got it and made a little bedding area. Because there was grass and everything, long grass laid out. It was like a bed. And it stunk. It smelled so horrible. It smelled like something dead in there.
Wow.
And I had asked my cousin, I said, hey, what's this? He's like, do not touch that. That's something that Hogs had made. That was his excuse. He used Hogs. Because he knew what was out there. But he would never say what it was.
And how big was it again around?
It was 7 foot long, and it was like 4 to 5 feet wide.
That's a big old
Somewhere
bed
around
right there,
there.
boy. That's a big old bed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it was literally, it was piled up to where it was angled. He had, whatever it was, had sticks angled to where he had layered it to where it wouldn't fall in. And it made like a little hut. That's what the crazy thing about it.
That's crazy. Ain't no hog making that though. I don't know why you gonna tell your hogs.
No,
did
sir.
It.
No, sir. Well, we were young. We were dumb, too. We didn't know anything about them. But now we know. Especially listening to you and all the stories and all the calls you get in. I mean, that's literally like I literally told you that last night. And you told me to call in. I was going to call in, but I was getting ready for bed, too, because I had to work this morning. So I was like, all right, I ain't gonna call in. I'm just going to go to bed, and I'll call in tomorrow if it goes live. So you went live, and I called you. But I'm a big fan of yours, Bolts, and LeKay's, and all y'all stuff, man. I try to listen to y'all every time y'all go live.
Well, man, I appreciate it, man. Spread the word, and I appreciate you trusting me to
Yes,
tell me the
sir.
story, man. You know, I thank you.
Man, it's really hard trying to explain that because I even told my old lady that. She said, you're crazy. I said, I'm not crazy. I just know what I saw.
Hey, let me ask you this question: was your old lady in the chat tonight?
No, sir, she was not. I do not
Okay.
think she was.
Because I saw somebody earlier say, I remember him shaking when he came home, and I thought that might have been her.
Let me go ask her, actually. Let me actually go ask her that. Hey, are you in the chat? You are in the chat.
That's what
Because
I
he
thought.
just asked me if you're in it. I said, I don't know. Let me go ask her.
Yeah, because she was
Yeah,
confirming
I mean,
that you came home shaking. I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm so scared. I do not like going out at night anywhere. I work
Really?
with this time change has really messed me up because I get scared to go start the car to get it warmed up just to take my kids to school.
The story when I was 12?
If you want to, here, my old lady wants to tell you a story really quick.
Absolutely.
Sir?
Hey, darling, how are you?
I'm good.
You wanted to share a story? Is it a story about him? Is it funny? Are we going to make fun of him? You got something we can make fun of him?
No, it's actually about a dogman story, which back in the day, I didn't know what the hell a dogman was until recent. Well, not really recently. I didn't find out until I was 19.
What? I got to hear this.
Well, it was a long time ago. I was 12 years old, and I went to a place near Dallas because I went to go see my godparents at the time because we were having a family reunion. Well, behind her house is nothing but backwoods. Like, you can just look straight forward, and all you see is trees, woods, and leaves, and all that stuff. Well, me and my cousin, and it was already nighttime. We were outside playing like kids do, just playing outside and playing tag, hide and seek in the dark. Well, we heard crackling in the woods, and I was like, yo, what is that noise? My cousin's like, I don't know, let's go find out. Well, apparently when we looked, it's pitch black, you can't see nothing. But for some reason, we saw like glowing eyes or something. At first, it looked small, and we thought, well, maybe it's like a raccoon or something. And then out of nowhere, it started getting bigger and bigger. We were just looking at it. And then we saw it, and it was almost as tall as this tree. And these trees are very, very tall. And I mean, they're probably taller than my house. Well, I think this thing would probably been like maybe 6'5", probably taller than that. Well, and it was just staring at us for some reason. We were just staring back at it, and we're like frozen, not knowing what is this thing. But it looked like it has a very long snout, because you can barely see it because it was a full moon that night. But it was still dark. But we saw like a snout because it did turn a little bit, and we saw like a wolf snout. And then you see a little bit of the ears, and it was like very not, I'm going to say muscular, but it looked like it was muscles. I don't know. Like I said, I was 12. I don't know how in the hell to explain it. But after a while, my cousin's dad called us. He said, hey, y'all need to get away from there. And all of a sudden, we just heard rustling going, and when we looked back, it was gone. And my cousin and I looked at each other. We're like, we're not saying anything. I'm going to not say a damn word because I don't know what that thing was. It looked like something that came out of a Harry Potter book. I have no idea what it was. Until this day, like, he'll text me. He's like, do you remember that day? I was like, I try not to because I don't know what the hell that thing was. So,
That's
but
crazy.
that was my story.
Did you guys hear anything, or it didn't make any noises, anything?
It was just staring at us. Like, I think it was more curious than it was like wanting to hurt us. Because I just told him the other night about it when he was saying that he should have called in. I was like, well, I didn't tell nobody about this. Nobody in my family knows about it unless they're here. I don't know. If you're here, hi, now you know. But yeah, my cousin and I kept it to ourselves. I think my uncle knew about it because when we came back, he looked at us as if he knew we saw it. And he just shook his head and told us, just don't say nothing. And we just stayed inside the rest of the night. We did not want to play outside. And everybody's just like, why y'all inside? Why do y'all seem like y'all scared? Why does it look like y'all seen a ghost or something? We're just like
something you were scared of. Shit, you know what the fuck you was. I'm still fucking shaking.
I just told my family I'm not going outside. I had to make an excuse. I was like, I have a tummy ache. They're like, oh, okay, just go lay down or something. My cousin and I just stared at each other. We're like, never again. And then the next morning, we went out there because they have a gate, but that's the thing, we didn't go out there. It was at night. We went out there. You can see like tree limbs falling, and you can see like a path to where it took off to. And that thing was huge. If it could hit the tree limbs on the top of the tree, and I'm like, nope, I'm gone. So we went back, and we're like, no. And then, and I think I don't know if he still has them out there, but I think my godfather actually said that they have
I'm not going there.
They have wolves out there.
I'm not going.
But I don't know what kind of wolves he's talking about. He just says he has wolves that we need to be careful. And supposedly there's game cameras out there that he checks, but I'm not gonna ask about because I don't want to relive that thing. Now that thing was scary. I thought it was gonna.
You know what?
As a kid, and I was tiny, I thought the thing was gonna eat me.
We might have to get cameras.
But that's my story. Kind of weird. People probably are like, yeah, she probably saw something from Harry Potter, but honestly, like I said, it's very hard to explain it because as a kid, I don't know what it was. Now that all this stuff's coming up, I'm like, wow, that's probably what I saw.
Yeah, and as a kid, you don't have a context for that. So, like the only context you said it, which was it looked like something from a Harry Potter book, right? You didn't say a movie, a Harry Potter book. meaning you read the book.
Oh
So
yeah.
you see what I'm saying? So that was your context that you could come up with on it. And that's what happens. Our brains and our minds, the context of our minds changes as we get older and as we experience things and we learn new things. And so now you have like a little bucket to put that in. And so now you discover what the hell it is. And then it just flushes all those memories back. And now you got to confront it. It's a good thing that you're confronting it and talking about it, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But like I said, I think we actually are gonna go visit this summer, and I did tell him if we go, we're gonna go in those woods and we're gonna take cameras so we can find something.
With slugs.
He said he's gonna take a shotgun with slugs.
Damn fucking right I am.
Yeah, don't.
Right.
If you're
I
going in
wouldn't
the
want-
woods, take your shotgun with you. Don't be playing around.
I wouldn't want to play around. I'll just be more curious.
I ain't going around to play around. I'm gonna go kill.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. I'll tell you what. Let's agree to go to
shit.
the edge of the woods, look around, sniff around, and go on about our business. Because once you start something with them things, man, it don't end too well at all. I'm telling you.
Exactly. You know, and it's one of them deals. After I seen that one that I seen over there when I was doing that tire, I feel like I'm being watched now after that. I don't know why, but I do.
I told him he's paranoid, but there are nights where I feel like there's something here. Because our dogs will go crazy at night.
How far was
And
it?
then-
How far is it the area where you changed that tire to where you live?
It was okay. I was working 15 minutes away from where I live now, and that was 30 minutes away, maybe 45 minutes away.
That's within range. That's definitely within range.
Yeah.
There was actually times when we were staying at his parents' house, there were times where we could hear howling. We thought it was just coyotes that were out hunting at night in the fields, but after a while, when you start listening, I told him, these don't sound like coyotes. It sounds a lot bigger.
But I will tell you one thing.
And he's like, you know what? I hate to say it, but I think you might be right.
The last time I stayed at Mom and Dad's house, I heard something howling and I thought it was dogs. But then I heard that live chat that he had with that howling in it. It sounded exactly the same, but more doggish.
More doggish.
Yes.
And it was that long?
It was that long, yes sir. It was that long, and there's a field, I would say
Not even
4 or 5 blocks away from the house, from where I live now, and it's only like 2 blocks away from my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think it was coming from. Because I was taking that road that field's on to go to work. And I think it's getting closer and closer. I mean, I feel like I said, I feel like I'm being watched.
I even told him maybe we need to get some game cameras and put them around the house just to make sure, because I told him that the times that when he has to work late at night, I tell him the dogs go crazy, and when I go look outside, there's nothing out there that I can see from my eyes. Like, I figured, it might just be a car passing by, but our dogs are trained to, are hunting dogs, so they're trained to attack any animal, technically. And when my dog goes crazy, and I mean like she wants to attack something, it's usually an animal. And every time when I go look, I don't see anything. But there was a time to where we actually had a dead skunk in our yard, and it was mauled. And our dogs don't deal with skunks. They know that's the number one animal they don't go to. And it looked like it was mauled by bigger teeth than our dogs, because we even checked it out. I told him, yeah, we're going to buy cameras and start putting them around the house, because I feel like whatever you did that night that he told me about fixing that tire, I said, I think it followed you. That, or it got your scent, and now it knows where we are.
So let me ask you this question. Around the house, are you hearing things? Are you, like, outside of the dogs barking, are you hearing anything else? I know we talked about the howl, but outside that howl, the howl was at your parents' house. How far is your parents' house from your house?
My parents' house from the house that I'm living at is literally 3 blocks away.
Okay, well, yeah, then that's your freaking house. So, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a problem.
But yeah, we hear knocking. There's nights where we can hear knocking on the windows or tapping, and then we can hear deep growls.
Oh,
That's
there was a night where I told him, and it was a night that he had to go stay at his parents' house. I told him there was something tapping or scratching my window because my bed is like inches from my window. And he's like, I don't really believe you. I was like, well, stay the night and you'll hear it. Because I told him there's something around this house that's making the dogs go crazy. There's nothing around, and it's 3 o'clock in the dang morning, so who the hell is going to be going around the house? So when he stayed the night, we turned off the lights. We made sure it was quiet. All of a sudden, it hit 2:46, and then the dogs were going crazy again.
At 3 o'clock when the tapping started.
Yeah, apparently at 3 o'clock the tapping started, but I don't think it was 3. I think it was before 3. But our dogs started going crazy. My dog was trying to jump the fence because we have a window that can see the whole yard. My dog was trying to jump the fence to where my window was, and all of a sudden, all you hear is like a little, I wouldn't say a light tap, but it sounded more like a scratch on my window. And he said, what the hell was that? And I said, I told you, that's exactly what I'm hearing about. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to find out. And I told him, we need to get cameras because I feel like there's something else more than what we need to know that's here.
I'll tell you what you probably should do. There are these wireless cameras that you can put up, and what it will do, it will serve as a deterrent because we've documented that these creatures understand where the camera is, so it will actually allow you to have a perimeter around the house. So, like, if it's, for example, that side of the house where the window is, if you go to the front end of the house, angle the camera where it's looking down the side of the house, and you can see that area, that infrared light will act as a deterrent. It won't stop it if it wants to come do something. But what I mean by a deterrent is it'll say, okay, well, there's some kind of light or camera there. So now it's focused on that as opposed to focusing on you. That's one of the things that we discovered from our Taylor camera. Or
I've been watching those when you put them on live, man. I need to become a member. I need to get how would I do that? Would I have to sit there and get a PayPal to become a member with yours and Dogman cams?
No, so you just go sign up. It'll allow you to process a payment through PayPal. You shouldn't have to have a PayPal. It just allows you to process a payment through PayPal because PayPal is what is used to do the reoccurring payments, and that's it. And you can check it out. But for your sake and your safety, I would get you can get, I think they're $40-$50. You get a $50 camera, you put it on the front end of the house, angle it to where the activity is, and what's going to happen is it's either going to click on a light, which that might freak you out if the light starts clicking on at 3 o'clock in the morning. But
Sure. Yeah, because I have one of them sensor lights in
does
the
that
front,
ever
on
trigger?
the side of the house and in the back. Sir?
Does that light ever trigger in the morning? Like, does that sensor ever go off?
Yes, sir. It goes off at 3 o'clock in the morning. It goes off at 1:30 in the morning, and it also goes off at like 5:30 in the morning.
And y'all don't strike me as the type of people who dabble with no magic or nothing. Like, anybody in your family dabble in magic?
What you mean, like dabble with magic? By the way,
like anybody who practices magic, practices spells, burns candles, anything like that.
Yeah, we do.
I do.
We do burn candles, but
I only do safety spells like protection and health.
And then we do the reversible
I don't do any
candles.
of the reversible candles.
Okay.
I don't do any of the stuff.
Okay. So now we open up. We add another element to it because you burn a reversal candle because you feel like somebody's doing something. That's what you want to reverse, right? So let's talk about who and what we're reversing. Where's that come in at? Where's that kick in?
Where does that kick in at is whenever you light the candle and the candle actually busts, like the glass busts right when you put the flame to the wick.
It's either it busts or around the candle will start to turn like a blackish, ashy color.
Yeah, that's not good.
And when that happens, it will show you that somebody has something on you, rather if they're doing something to you or they're wishing bad luck on you.
No. I'm familiar with what all of it means. What I'm saying is, who's that person that you're worried about that you had to burn that candle? Trust me, I know everything about the candles. I'm just trying to figure out.
It's past people that we've known that we no longer associate with just because they're just, I don't want to say they're bad people. They just have bad tendencies, I guess, for us.
any of those people
Like,
practice
we
magic,
had
or
a
it's
friend.
just
We had a friend that tried to break us apart just because he supposedly he wanted to get with me, but I think he was just jealous because he didn't have nobody at the time. And that's when another reason why we burnt the reverse candles, because we felt we were always arguing and stuff like that. But when we burnt it, everything was fine, and then he was having issues with his stuff.
and so? But he's a known practitioner. He dabbles and messes around with stuff.
No.
Okay, because that opens another element. If he's known for playing around with Santeria, hoodoo, or voodoo, or voodoo, then it would some of the tapping at 3 o'clock in the morning makes sense, and some of those small things make sense. Or if he has a vendetta, enough of a vendetta where he will go to someone else
Does.
and
Mhm.
get someone else to
Does.
do so. And there we go. So now we're getting down to we got two
Does.
different things going on.
Hey, I know who he is.
Go.
She's my family. That's the best part about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
so-
but there is another thing that I found out about myself. Apparently, I wouldn't say I'm psychic, and I don't really say I can speak to spirits, but apparently I can sense when somebody else is around when they've passed. Because apparently I predicted my cousin's death, and I was correct. I predicted my dad's death, and I was correct. And I predicted my uncle's death, and I was correct.
Predicted my rent.
And I predicted when my husband here got into a wreck, and I told him he should have been careful. And I said he's going to get into a wreck on this day at this time, and it happened. And I actually talked to my birth mother about it, and apparently she's saying that in my bloodline, there's actual way that we can sense, I guess what they call like the sixth sense or something like that, that you can tell when something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I didn't really believe it, but I was like, I don't know. But then after predicting this stuff and seeing it actually happen, I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I need to study more about this in order to make it not so bad.
I don't
But
see anything wrong with
apparently
that. But I do have another question for you guys. So, because I think I'm catching on to what actually happened. So this attempt to break up you guys' relationship, can you time stamp and date that around the time of the first Dogman encounter? Was that going on around the same time? Was it prior? Was the encounter prior to that? After that? How do those two relate
it
time-wise?
happened exactly a month after the incident, I do believe. It was a month after.
Yeah, you got in the house. No.
No, the very first one was at your mama's house.
True. That's very true.
And it was a month after we ended the friendship with him.
Yeah, because that week before, me and him, we got literally tore the fuck up, and he told me how he felt. And I didn't like it, so I said, alright, cool. You shit me the fuck out. So I don't want you to talk about my old lady and anything like that. This is my woman. It's not your woman.
Here, you talk.
But
Now, let me ask you this question.
it was a week afterwards.
It was a month after.
Or a month afterwards, I would think. I mean,
Can I ask you another question?
yes, sir.
The deaths and the accident, how does that fit into the time frame? Was all that around the same time frame, or was that prior to any of this?
The death happened. Let me see. My cousin happened whenever she turned 18, and I just turned 14, I do believe.
Okay, so that was a while ago. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, that was a while ago. And then my dad passed away about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And that's when we officially bought our house. And that's whenever, I think he told me that's what happened whenever he was working in, I think it was the first story he told when he was working with his friend and they went to go do something. And he told me about it, but I just blew it off as in maybe you're just seeing things. But then now that I'm knowing it's occurring more and more, I'm like, maybe it's true.
No, I'm with you guys. So I'm no doctor. I'm no goddamn scientist when it comes to this. But what I do know is there are times where um, we as human beings we're at our weakest. Those times tend to be when there's death and there's loss. There's also times where we're under hardcore spiritual attacks where we're weak, and it makes us vulnerable to all types of things, all types of entities, to where we can actually encounter them and see them. Imagine like having a freaking force field on a spaceship, right? And that force field is only protecting half of the ship because the ship has been under assault for 6 months, 3 months, 2 years, right? Um, those shields are down, and if you are a person like yourself who actually has the ability to kind of see across the veil, little small things like that'll happen. In Will's case, um, it could be directly attached to someone throwing something at you guys, which made him absolutely vulnerable to encounter this. And that's where I'm sitting on it because when you start talking about dogman encounters, people have them, yes, but they're few and far in between. And as you notice, we get calls like if you listen to the show, we get calls talking about Dogman on that show. It's specifically talking about Dogman, but it's still such a niche thing that it's not as big as freaking UFOs, right? If the encounters were that abundant, it would be as big as UFO encounters. So we know when we start to look at it like from empirical evidence, the number of encounters versus the number of alien and UFO encounters, we know there's a slimmer margin of the people who having those encounters. So when you end up having one or two or three, you combine that with someone actually trying to do something to harm your relationship. You combine that with death of the family members. It's a confluence of all these different things going on at one point in time. If I'm in you guys' shoes, and this is just me, I'm doing some prayers and I'm praying over my house. I'm protecting my house and I'm rebuilding that force field because clearly you guys already validated that he and you two were arguing at some point in time. You had to burn a reversal candle. You actually discussed the results of the candle exploded. One candle had a black around the rim. When that black around the rim, this definitely confirms that someone's throwing stuff at you. And the way that happens is because that flame gets high up on the wick of the candle, and as those flames get high, that is definitely a sign of two things: someone using magic or something demonic. If the flame lifts off the wick of the candle, then it's definitely demonic. So, with everything that you guys have told me, if I'm in your shoes, I'm praying for my relationship to make it stronger. Because when if someone's gone that far to try and destroy a relationship, they're not going to stop. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. That's just it's a part of the seductive aspect of people who practice that kind of stuff. It's power. People want power over other people, and if they get any kind of result, like if he did it and you guys started arguing, and he saw the result of that, you may have started to protect yourself. The minute you let your guards down, then that person's gonna come back and do it again, right? Unless you go whoop his ass, that's probably gonna make it worse. So you need to pray for that relationship. And if I was you, I would definitely get those cameras and then pray that God protect my household. Because one thing I know for sure is praying that God will push all of that away. And people burn candles and all the rest of that stuff. It's if you're doing it, you're doing it the right way. It definitely works. But there's nothing like prayer, real prayer, to punish a person. It will literally punish you. That man teeth might fall out his mouth for messing with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys are husband and wife. Literally, his teeth might fall out of his mouth.
Yeah, we've been praying. We've been doing everything we're supposed to do. Like we did a little bit of research on it too, like the brain
we
and
came with positivity back, so.
yeah, we stay positive. We don't try to go to the negative anymore.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I tell you what, guys, man, that was exciting. I appreciate the call, Will. I didn't catch your wife's name. What's your name, darling?
Angel?
Angel, wife and Will and Angel. I appreciate you guys. Anytime y'all want to talk, man, y'all holler back at me.
Oh, most definitely, I will.
All right, guys.
I'm pretty sure I'll see something later on too.
We have to tell the stories about shadow people next time that we've been seeing.
Get that camera, man. I'm telling you.
I will. I'll get a camera. Either that or I'll get one of them. I'm gonna have to get a camera. Fuck it, I'll get a camera.
Camera.
I'll get a camera. I'll put a camera all in the front where that light's at, the side, the back, and on this other side. I need to get one for this other side. That's where
You
it's at.
definitely need one for this window.
Yeah. So I'll get a camera and I'll get everything done that I need to get done, and we'll start praying a lot more and keeping faith.
It'll definitely help.
Good.
All right, guys. I appreciate y'all calling in.
Thank you, sir. I really do appreciate it. I'm a big fan of yours.
No, I'm a fan of you, buddy. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was wow. Will and Angel. Dog man. Somebody practicing magic against them. Scratching on the windows, tapping on the windows. Jesus, that's a lot. And you know they ain't lying, guys. You can tell they're not lying because the conversations, they're picking up in the middle of each other's words, in the middle of each other's sentences, finishing each other's sentences about the encounters that are happening. So you know they're not lying. So for somebody out there be like, oh, they calling in, they telling lies. Them folk ain't lying. And if you have a mind, if you got a brain bigger than the size of a peanut, and any type of intuition, you can definitely pick up on everything that was going on there. Just like I started digging into those areas, you can pick up on those things. That was a great call, guys. I appreciate you. Will, I'm gonna text you guys something. I'm gonna give you guys 30 days at my website. That way you ain't gotta come out no money, and you can go take a listen to some of the stuff. And I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna give you 30 days, Will, but I want you to go listen to It Is Written on that website. I think it was on YouTube. I think it may have had half the story on YouTube. People don't really respect the most hardcore stories I have on YouTube. They like, I don't want to hear Bigfoot. Oh, I want to hear the most hardcore stuff I have is stuff like It Is Written. So I got you guys' number here in my Skype. I will text you the 30-day passcode for you to go in there and take a listen. After the 30 days, if you like it, bro, sign up. It's all good. Bada bing, bada boom. Someone in the chat was saying they couldn't get into dogmancams.com. Shoot me an email. You can send it to im@im.waters.com or support@dogmancams.com, and I will get that squared away for you immediately. I'll do it while I'm on air. All right. Somebody in the chat, somebody help me. Pull that pin back out of where I was in that story and help me remember where I was. If I'm not mistaken, I was talking about Sally Ann Glassman, world-renowned voodoo practitioner. We were in her shop. We were talking about that night of hell. I got it. She goes into that little room. And imagine like your closet. You know you have the closet with the two doors. It's got a curtain on it, but it doesn't have closet doors. It's got curtains that hang down. Those curtains are like this reddish, brownish color. And in front of that curtain was her dog. If you guys heard me talk about Sally before, she has a dog that senses demons on people. Like if you walk in that shop and the dog starts barking at you, you got something on you. Now he'll bark like once, like "Roof," and it lets her know something's there. If he starts growling at you, like I've been there before, and the dog started growling, yeah, I just left. Like I'm done with. I'm not gonna be around this because that dude had some next level stuff with him. Nonetheless, she goes in. She comes back out with this book. She opens the book, and it's the exact same thing in the drawing that this woman had described, and it was a night of hell. And prior to that, she was trying to get me to understand that um, I had the ability to already know what it is. And then she explained to me, and this is very important, and this is why on this channel, you'll notice that although I believe in Jesus Christ, I mean, I love my brothers and sisters of all faiths, and I am full hardcore Christian, even though I curse and scream and holler. I'm like Pastor Butts that curse and scream in the pulpit. Um, I still know that I can learn from people who have different experiences because Sally taught me this. She said, you have the gift to know based on the conversation exactly what it is, exactly what's going on if you allow it to work. And I was like, whoa. Really, Candy? 7 ums? God. Okay, 7. I'm not getting to 10. There's 3 more left. Get to 10. I'm tricking. Well, it used to be a half a tank of gas. Right now, it's not even a quarter of a tank of gas. But nonetheless, she tells me, and she teaches me that I have that ability. So, Now I'm armed with the understanding of what it is. I'm armed with the understanding of to follow my intuition, because Sally's exact words was, "Your intuition is a gift from the Most High God," which was very significant to me because she understood and she said, "Yeah, there's the Most High God. These are the gods I choose to worship, but there's the Most High God." She said, "That's the gift from the Most High God, and you need to follow it." So, all right, now I'm armed with all this information. I talk to the lady again, and I'm bringing her back through the encounter. I'm looping her. You guys have heard it here before, so you're familiar with the terminology of me looping a person, which is bringing them back all the way through the whole thing. And now this time I'm looping her with the intent of just listening and letting the intuition kick in. And as I'm looping her and she goes into the description, the picture of this thing is painted clearly in my head, almost as if I was there with her. I start getting chills on my feet and around my calves as she's talking, and I'm realizing, hold on, this is different. Something strange is going on. We're talking about this, and I'm actually physically feeling fear in my body. Even though I didn't encounter it, I'm actually physically feeling the fear in my body. Now, pause right there, go back. Sally did tell me to be careful with this because she said it's a night of hell and that the nights of hell are very powerful. She told me the name. She told me not to repeat the name. I've never repeated the name. I will never repeat the name. I'm not even going to think about the name. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Okay, it's gone. And I realized right then and there that this entity was so powerful that just me, no, I didn't. I realized that right then and there that it was powerful. I realized how powerful it was when I started talking about it on those interviews and things started happening. And then I think the very last time I talked about it was on Heather Wade when she was still on Midnight in the Desert before it turned into the Kingdom of Nye. I talked about it there. And there was this old man who lived in an old folks' home. And he was known for seeing shadow people. And I hope that guy's still alive. I liked her audience. Her audience was amazing. Like, I'm getting the chills not talking about this thing. Like, my whole right leg is starting to get cold. So, homeboy, I am not summoning you. I need you to go back to where you came from. We not playing that stuff. None of that foolishness tonight. I am talking, not summoning. Two different things. There we go. It's going away. So, this old man, and I hope he's still alive, he calls in on the show and he says, "You know, you just told that story, Dog Waters, and I'm sitting in my bed, I'm listening as I normally do." Now remember, Heather Wade's show is 11, it's on Pacific Standard Time. So when I went on with Heather, I would go in like 11:20, and I would go from 11:20 to 3 o'clock in the morning, our time, right? And he says, "You're telling that story, and I'm laying in my bed, and I see this shadow walk down the hallway, and it's got a funny head." And I was like, "Oh, crap. I got to stop talking about this thing. I really, really do have to stop talking about this thing." And so I did. That's 8, Candy. And so I did. I stopped talking about it. Because it's that powerful that it started to actually affect people in the audience. This is my very first time talking about it since then. It's been about 2 years at this point in time that I've started, since the last time I talked about it. That's how powerful that thing was. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 300 people in here, 188 likes. I don't even understand why that happens, but do me a favor, start hitting the like button. Handle your business. Don't be a hater. And I don't think people being haters, I think they're just being lazy. Hop in, listening. You know what I'm saying? Won't come in my house, open the refrigerator. You're going to eat up all my grits, all my hog mog. But you ain't going to hit the like button. You're going to drink all the Gatorade, all the bottles of water gone, eating all the potato chips. And you're not going to hit the like button. You can have the chips. You can have the bottle of water. Just hit the like button. There you go. Well, now we're moving up. Appreciate you. I love each and every one of you. All right, the lines are open. 504-354-0143. 504-354-0143. 1 hour and 11 minutes and 8 ums. That is not good. 8 freaking ums. Very unprofessional. For the record, Candy Girl, those two don't count because I'm talking about the not saying the Get it? I'm talking about it, not saying it. You know what I'm saying? So those don't count. They do not count. 504-354-0143. We are taking calls on anything that you want to talk about. It could be Dogman. It could be Bigfoot. It could be demons. It could be aliens. It could be flying saucers. It could be your bad neighbor. Speaking of that, story that I heard last week. Listen to this one. It's short though, but it's still kind of freaky. I was going to produce it, but it's too short. Maybe I could produce it. I mean, do it as a short. But guy calls me, and I don't even know how he got the regular number. He called on the regular number, not the Darkwater phone number, not the Skype number. He called on my regular number, which that rarely happens. So he either talked to someone else and got it, a friend to somebody. Nonetheless, he calls me and he catches me off guard because that other phone I turn it off when I don't want to have it blowing up. And I'm in the car, I'm smoking a cigar, and I was actually on my way to get a another popping cork for my fishing pole because I want to go fishing for redfish. And I'm pulling into the fishing store. Pugways is the name of it on Veterans. I'm pulling into Pugways. The phone rings, and he says, "Hey, is this Dark Waters?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is Dark Waters, but you ain't supposed to be calling me on this number." He's like, "Man, I just want to tell you something that happened to me, and kind of get your idea on what you think it is." Okay, so he tells me about this neighbor in the apartment complex where he lives. So he's like me. I'm a person that in the morning time, I'll get up, cook breakfast, take out the trash from the evening before because I never believe in taking out trash at night ever since I was a kid. I hate going outside at night to take out trash. It didn't make sense. You could take it out in the morning. It's in a freaking bag. So, but what he would do is he would take his trash in the morning, put it outside his front door of his apartment, and sometimes he wouldn't take it down to the dumpster. He would just leave it there and then take it to the dumpster in the evening when he got off work, before he went inside, grab it, take it to the dumpster, then go inside. Well, he starts to develop that habit of leaving that trash there, going to work, getting it in the evening, which didn't make sense to me, but I can understand it because I do it sometimes, right? All of us do it. Well, his neighbor directly across the hall, not across the hall, across the from him on the apartment complex. So let me describe the apartment complex for you guys. So when you come into, there's a center gate where you walk straight into that apartment complex. There's a pool right in the middle. There's steps to the right and the left that take you up. It makes a giant U shape, right? And there's apartments at the bottom, apartments at the top. He's up on the top left hand side at the end of the U on the left hand side. His neighbor's on the other side of the U across from him on the right hand side. Just so you understand how this went down. So he's leaving that trash outside of his door, but it's nowhere near his neighbor's front door. If you kind of catch my drift, because they have enough space between them, two of them. Well, he comes home from work, grabs the trash, goes to throw it away, and he noticed the neighbor giving him this stanky eye, like, looking at him crazy. Following day does the same thing, puts his trash out in the morning, heads to work, comes back, grabs the trash, throw it away. Saturday morning, it's his day off, and it was funny because he's like, this motherfucker fuck with me on my day off, man. Had my blood pressure all high. I ain't had a day off in like 2 weeks, and this motherfucker won't fuck with me. And I'm laughing at him, and I said, man, tell me what happened, bro. Tell me what's going on. He says, well, listen, I'm getting up that morning. I'm putting the trash down outside the door, and I'm going back inside to clean up. He's like, I wanted to mop my kitchen floor, so I got the bucket, I got the bleach, I got the water. He said, I started mopping, and he said, you know how your floor is wet? I didn't want to take the chance of knocking over the water with the bleach in it onto the carpet, so I just go back outside to put the bucket with the mop and the bleach and the water outside the front door. He says, when I open my front door, homeboy is standing outside my door. And he's like, yo, man, you need to take your trash out. He tells him, okay, cool, bro, but this is my apartment. I pay the rent. I'm going to take the trash out when I'm ready to take the trash out. I don't want to take it out right now. So, cool. I understand my trash bother you, but that ain't none of your business. Mind your business. He says, homeboy goes to his apartment, goes into the apartment, leaves the door open. And he's thinking to himself like, okay, homie tripping. I'm about to go and finish doing what I'm doing. So he goes back into the house, closes it into the apartment, closes the door behind him, doesn't lock it, Goes back and starts vacuum cleaning. This is crazy. So now imagine you're in your house vacuum cleaning, like you know how loud that vacuum cleaner is. You vacuum in the floor, you vacuum in the floor, you vacuum in the floor. Now you're at a point where your back is turned to your own front door because you're vacuuming the floor, and he gets this feeling that somebody's watching him. So he turns around. His neighbor is standing there in his threshold of his door. The door's open. The neighbor's got his hand behind his back, and the dude's eyes are jet black. Literally, jet black. And I'm like, dog, what did you do? And he was like, man, the vacuum cleaner is still running. I'm seeing this, but it's not really registering to me. He's like, because I'm seeing him, but my brain is not like processing the fact that his eyes are black. And he was like, my brain didn't even process the fact that his eyes were black until I lifted my foot to hit. And he described it to the T. He said, he said, they have that red button on the bottom of your vacuum cleaner? I was like, yeah. He said, well, I take my eyes off him for a split second to look to that red button and hit the vacuum cleaner to turn it off so I could talk to him. And he said, when my eyes look back at him, I realize his eyes are black. And then he starts to step back away from my door frame, back out and outside to where I can't see him. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I probably would have got my pistol. I'm telling him, I probably would have got my pistol, dog. I would have plugged him. And he was like, man, I'm freaking out and I'm trying to figure out what to do. So I'm like, look, I'm just going to go see. Maybe I'm tripping. So he goes to the front door. And now when he gets to his door and he's inside the door frame, his neighbor is inside of his door frame, but he's still got the black eyes. He says, homeboy pulls a knife, a butcher knife, the big one, from behind his back and starts coming towards him with the butcher knife saying, didn't I tell you to take out that fucking trash? I'm going to kill you. And I said, bro, what you did? He's like, man, I'm from the streets. He's like, I punched him in his fucking nose. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I punched him in his fucking nose. And I started beating him in his eye. And I'm like, wow. Listen to this, though. This the crazy shit. So he starts beating him. Homeboy's eyes go from black back to being regular. The guy drops the freaking knife and starts to literally cry and tell him that he's going to call the police. He said, I'm going to call the police on you. He said, man, call the fucking police. Call whoever you want. You was out here with a knife. Call whoever the fuck you want. And you had them stupid ass black eyes. If I see you fucking around my front door again, I'm going to beat your ass again. He goes back inside, closes the door. 15 minutes later, the cops come knock on the door. The cops telling him he assaulted his neighbor. He says, no, I left my door unlocked. I'm vacuuming. He actually opens my door and is standing in my door frame. He said, it freaked me out. He stepped back out. I went back out there. He charged me, with a knife in his hand. And so I beat him up. And so the police listened to the story, and the police were just about to arrest him for assaulting his neighbor, which is completely and totally messed up. When a little girl, literally a little girl, who he didn't even see while this was all going on, was downstairs in the pool playing. Like, how you have the little steps on the pool? The little girl told the police she was downstairs at the steps of the pool playing, and she saw what happened, and that the man with the black eyes tried to stab him with a knife. And the police just completely wrote off the whole black eye thing, but they arrested his freaking neighbor for trying to stab him. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And this story came to me while I was getting ready to get all my stuff together to go fishing. So now I'm in the fishing store talking to him. I'm trying to get some circle hooks because I don't really use the regular hooks no more now that I know, the circle hooks make it easier to catch fish. So I'm trying to get circle hooks and I'm talking to him while this is going on. I'm like, what the fuck? For real, dog? The little girl saw this? He's like, yeah, man, the little girl saw this shit. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. It's like you'd have been locked up, dog. You'd have been locked up if it wasn't for this little girl. So that's another one of the stories that came my way most recently. Let's check the chat, ladies and gentlemen. I got me a phone call. Hey, this is Dark Waters. I'm sorry for keeping you on hold. Who am I speaking to? And where are you calling from?
My name is Thomas Lawson.
Thomas Lawson. Strong voice Thomas. What's up, man?
How you doing? Brother, I've been listening to you for quite a while now. And I don't know. I need some information from you.
Go for it. What you want?
I'm a very spiritual man. Biblical.
All right.
And a lot of information that you've been bringing out, like the Black Sun operation.
Yes.
And it hit me spiritually because have you ever heard of the Nephilim Wars?
The Nephilim Wars, yeah, we touched on that. The Giant Wars, yeah.
Yes. Also, you know, like I said, I'm a very spiritual man, brother, and God touched me because you're doing a lot of work that people just think's a myth. You know what I mean? And so I came across another thing because I never heard of Dog Man until I heard your stuff.
Okay.
And so I have a book called the Book of Remembrance. And this is from pre-flood, the days of Noah.
Okay.
And the big wars going on, and it talks about how, brother, I don't want to misquote it, so I'm going to grab my book. I do. This is something I do.
Go get it. It sounds like you about to teach me something, man. You grab your book, I'm going to light me another cigar. We're going to talk about this one, pimp.
Hey, where is my ancient book of grandmothers at? The Corey had it. Excuse me, my damn son. Me and my family do this together. Like I said, there's the ancient grandmother's grandma. Here it is. Ooh. All right, found it, brother. Sorry about that. Not bad. So, matter of fact, I'm going to go to chapter 9. Let's see each other. And yes, I thank the Most High. He brought me right to it. All right, but yes, this book is called the Book of Remembrance, ancient book of our grandmothers.
Okay.
And it goes in depth on pretty much, you know, Adam and Eve pre-flood and the Nephilim Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about how the Nephilim are being created. And matter of fact, because my wife's a stronger reader than I am, I get, you know what I mean? I'm more. Can I have her read this to you? Put her on speakerphone.
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, hon. All right, here she is. We're going to start at 9.
Okay. But there are spirits of evil who are called demons, and they are spirits of the Nephilim. And Nephilim are people whose spirits are stolen at conception by the very wicked, and they are the only persons ever born who are void of the spirit of Matzah the Lamb. And because he is the resurrection, they cannot be resurrected. And the wicked have been instructed by Mutsur the Decadent to place in the Nephilim the spirit of an animal or a bird or a fish together with their human spirit of life. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Thank you, darling.
Oh, no problem.
That's my wife, Melinda. Hold on,
Thank you, Melinda.
Oh, you good? Calling her? You know, I'm a country boy, so I know when you said "hun," that is no disrespect. I understand. I understand where you're coming from. Matter of fact, when I went to Lincoln, most of my partners were from the South.
We just do it, bro. That's just honey, baby, darling. I'm sorry. That's just how we are.
No, you good. That's why I say no. All my partners are from the South. I just wanted you to know her name because I should have introduced you. That's the country boy in me too. You know, proper. And then, have you ever heard of the book called The Chronicles of Nuremberg?
No, haven't.
The Nuremberg Chronicles. I'm sorry, Nuremberg Chronicles. It's done in the medieval times.
Okay.
Yeah, it was written in 1493, but it's a history book. I'm sorry, but It has Dogman in it.
What?
This is not, yes, and it's an actual history book that you can go look up. And then
Type in the Nuremberg Chronicle, English PDF.
yeah, English PDF, because the ones it took me forever. Which I'm trying to buy it myself. It's a pretty penny, and also the other hard part is finding it in English.
What language is it written in? German?
Really, or German and what was the first one?
German and German and Greek.
Okay.
Was what they were originally.
And so when I start to listen to your channel, I'm like, man, God put one spirit on this man to do this.
But that was just one of them.
So, and then I know for a fact my wife was researching something a couple weeks back, and it goes along with that Black Sun operation thing that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And it verifies what these companies are really into. As a matter of fact, they're just talking about it out in the open.
Today they are, yes.
I think they just got finished. What did you read in that article? They gave a young man a pig liver.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like I said, brother, I mean, my spirit, I said, I got to get a hold of this brother because he has a lot of information that, especially because I'm in mid-Missouri, small town. I love being outdoors. I'm native, and these are a lot of stories that I have never heard. Yeah, and so when I heard what you do, I was like, man, I got to get a hold of this brother because I like how you bring the biblical aspect, and then I have to give a man his just due and his respect. And I like what you're doing, and I constantly listen. So I was like, maybe I can give him a little bit more biblical insight on, the Nephilim, and that's what I have. And that, like I said, that comes from the Book of Remembrance of Ancient Grandmothers.
Okay, let me ask you this question. So what comes after that? That's the only place they talk about it in the book?
No, actually, beforehand, they actually go into how they do it. And that isn't, I can't remember exactly what chapter it is, but it's with our ancient grandmother, Iona. They actually take a woman. This is why women go through what they go through, and they just come up missing. And they don't have to be.
Oh, somebody outside dumping. Oh, my God, that was an AR. I'm sorry. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. I ain't supposed to hear that over here. I'm sorry, bro. That God, somebody just got murdered. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, you good, my man. Could you like this, huh? So what they do is they take a woman on her period. And it goes into pretty much the man has to drink the blood. It's crazy. It's very disgusting. So, like I said, it goes into every last detail. And like the names that you hear when you hear like Matzah the Lamb, they're talking about Christ.
Right.
Marcer the Decadent is Lucifer.
Right.
So these are all the ancient names that our ancient ancestors used to call these people. Mm-hmm. This is why Christ even said, I was here before the foundations of the earth.
The earth, yep.
Adam and Eve knew about. Yeah. So, and then the Nuremberg Chronicles, I thought it follows the Bible. But like I said, they do show a picture of Dogman.
I'm going to have to get that.
So, my wife can send you any information you want on that.
How much did that book cost in German?
German, I do not know. I'm gonna have to. I know it was. I think the cheapest was like 800.
Yeah, the cheapest we found was like 800.
That is a book that I'm going to get. That's a book I'll get, and not only will I get it, I don't know if I can get him to translate a whole book and read a whole book. But I got a friend through my partner, Romanian Bob. Bob has a whole bunch of Germans around him. I could probably get them to do a certain chapter and get them to come over and read it and record it and read it to English so we'll know exactly what it is, or just go ahead and start studying it word by word and just learning it one way or the other. But yeah, we're definitely gonna dig into that, bro. I appreciate that
because
because I knew nothing about that.
I mean, and then like I said, brother, when you go dig into the Hebrew of a lot of these words, like when people think God had the Israelites just slaughtering nations, when you really go into the Hebrew and see what these nations names mean, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it had something to do with them
The
being
Nephilim.
bloodsuckers. Yeah. So, and then, like I said, and I have to use full disclosure with you, my bro. I carry your skin tone, but I know for a fact I can prove it historically, through God, and biblically that those people of the Bible that they're talking about is us.
Yeah, well,
So
I
when
don't.
I heard you,
Go ahead.
doing, I'm like, man, because we all had certain jobs to do for God anyway. And the truth that you're putting out is just so lovely because it's the truth, and people need to start speaking. That's why it says in Revelations, y'all gonna see stuff that's gonna make your hearts fail.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Um, People are gonna see. Well, people are seeing things now that's making their hearts fail. Honestly, they really are. They're seeing things now. It's just that it hasn't hit the news to the point to where um, you have the recordings. Think about what happened, what's transpired. Just take the topic of Dogman, right? In
Right.
2016, there was nowhere near the amount of evidence, photographic evidence and video evidence of Dogman as there is today. Now, the technology was the same. Everybody had the cell phones with the cameras. You had wireless cameras. You had ring doorbells. All that stuff it's been around. Now, the technology is not new. Something transpired between 2016 and 2021 to where people are capturing a little bit of everything: aliens, UFOs. There was a video out of freaking somewhere in Guatemala where you could literally hear the dog man howling. The man went outside of his house. He was behind this gated fence, and you could hear the howling. It was the most terrifying thing that I've ever heard. I mean, it was loud. So, but the technology has been the same. Something has changed on this planet to where, and like I've said it before, the gates of hell are starting to open up, and that's our fault as humanity, in my opinion, because we're dumb and stupid.
Oh,
But
oh yeah.
nonetheless, yeah, a lot has changed.
Oh, that like, cause that's what, and I really wanted to ask you. I was like, how many more encounters have started to become urban with these creatures? You know, like no longer just in the woods where people are like in New Orleans. You know, like the closest cities to me is St. Louis and Kansas City. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, in New Orleans, we're not having like Dogman on Canal Street or Bullet Avenue. But when you start getting to you get to a Slidell or a Covington, which is like a suburb of New Orleans, they're having a lot of
Right.
activity. They're having a lot of, and it's not just Dogman. Like one of the guys whose house I actually built, and me and him had a lot of beef over money back in those days. He sort of got I stole money from him, and I proved it to him I didn't steal him. But nonetheless, we worked it out, and he has a house on the Trafalgar River. This dude, this was 3 weeks ago. He calls me. His name is Ray. He calls. He says, James, you still doing the paranormal thing? I said, yeah, Ray, what's up? He says, I have a little boat dock that allows me to go on my boat and get on the Trafalgar River. I was like, yeah. He said, dude, I swear to you, I don't know what this was. He said, but it looked like a snake. He said, and it was in the river, but he said, dude, it was bigger than my boat. And he has like not a John boat. He has one of those bass boats. He's like, dude, it was
Mm.
wider than my boat. He's like, and it was long. He was like, because it was slithering through the water, but it was wider than my boat. And I said, for real? I said, did you pull out your camera? Did you do anything? He's like, no, I ran inside. was like, all right, bro, I can believe you. You know what I'm saying? And he's not the lying type of guy. So it's all kinds of stuff going on. It's so many people that I've been talking to about things that are going on. For the first time ever, I have to make a decision as to, well, am I going to talk about that? Because some stuff that people don't show interest in, that I think is very interesting. So I just don't tell it. Like that story, I thought that was extremely interesting, but I don't really tell them because I know most people are like, I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? They want to hear about Dogman and Bigfoot, but it's that much activity going on.
I hope your listeners know that you only giving them the tip of the iceberg. Like, if y'all really want to know, like you say, go to my other page and listen.
Yeah,
Because
that's where I
what I'm
really get
giving y'all
busy.
right now is just a tip.
Yeah,
My wife is sending you some things right now. I
okay.
don't know if this is your actual cell phone number, which is
Isn't it? Because I sent that one.
yeah,
Just Skype,
so,
it'll come through.
yeah, it's good.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna share this other link too. This one's like a person with like a dog man on, like conjoined twins, and like one's a human and one's like there's a dog on its back.
Because and brother, God showed me a lot about the world governments. Like I've been explaining to a lot of these folks, I say, I believe my Bible wholly, and there I said, hey, just because we hear our fellow politicians or whatever say they believe in God, I ask them one question. I say, are you sure it's your God?
That's
Because I
real
know
talk right there.
Christ got tempted by the devil, and he showed him every kingdom. So if he was able to offer somebody every kingdom on this planet, who's running it right now?
Absolutely.
And I know for a fact there's one interesting thing. Benjamin Franklin, I know one of his houses in England, they found little kids crucified at cut up like they've been crucified.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Pig born with a human face. Like this is all I wanted to discuss. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, wife sent you a lot of things from the hey, there's a lot in that. So, did you see what I did with my deer hunt? So, my man, like I said, Darkwater, I appreciate what you do. I'm praying for you because when you speak the truth the way you're speaking it, I know a lot of these government agencies are really probably on your head.
Nah, I'm good. I'm smart enough to. Well, put it like this: when you've been targeted by the FBI before, you know how to to step on a line, and then you know how to back away from the line. I know when to shut up, and I know when to test my boundaries. Like I did that show, I was playing around, and next thing you know, the stream got knocked off and went down. I know when to stop. You know what I'm saying? I know how to relay it in a manner in which I'm telling you the truth. You can research the truth, you can find the truth, but nobody can sit there and say, "Hey, man, you went too far." Hey, man, it's a story. Now, if the person wants to go through the story and dig up everything, then they can find what they want. And my philosophy is, um, it's your responsibility to find the truth. It's my responsibility to lay out the roadmap. If you walk down that road, you'll find a hell of a lot of truth. If you don't, then that's on you. And that's all you can promise a person. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, but I do have 3 interesting stories for you though, and
I
this is
love to
funny.
hear 'em.
One involves me and my papa, and then my big brother who came from Atlanta just a couple weeks ago because our grandpa passed away. No, last week. But and then the third one is with me, my little brother, and my wife, and we're down at the river. We never got to see what it was, but I'm gonna start the first one with me and my papa. This is about 2 months ago. My pops come sees me, and we sitting out front. And I'm having a cigarette, and we just talking. I said, "Pop, hey, you see that light?" He said, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Man, it's just sitting there. It's not going nowhere." and then it takes off moving, but it starts just moving slowly. And this seems like it's just like on the other side of the street to us, because like a block over. So finally, after it disappears, my papa gets up and runs off. And trust me, I ain't seen my pop run since '87.
You said you ain't seen him run since '87, but he took off running, huh?
Yeah, he called my little sister from inside the house and said, "Stephanie, it's time to go home." So I had to call him Jones him on that. You know our people. I said, "Pop, I used to call you when I thought monsters was in the closet." I said, "Nigga, I see how you would have it now if there was everyone in."
Oh,
I
that's
said, I
funny.
know. I would have been on my own. And then the other one just literally happened last week, and it's the same type of thing, but this time it's me and my big brother. And I said, "Hey, TJ," I said, "You see that?" He's like, "Yeah, man." And mind you, it's cloudy at this time. It got finished raining, but this light's right below the clouds.
Hmm.
And then I said, and then soon we watching it for like 10 minutes. Then it started inching towards us. And as soon as my big brother said, "Hey, man, it's coming towards us," it disappeared.
That's crazy.
Now, the third one is me, my wife, and my little brother. We're down at the river. Like I said, we love being outdoors. That's my favorite spot. Dog man just gonna have to deal with it because I pray before I go out there. I go out there every day anyway, but I pray before I go. So you got to deal with my heavenly creator after that. So, but we're fishing and we're at the Missouri River, and all of a sudden this deer comes down the chunk of this island hauling ass. I have never seen a deer just jump into the Missouri
Wow.
in the middle of the day. Try to swim across the river, and ended up drowning.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, it stopped before we can see it, though.
And we stayed there a while longer, and we never heard anything else.
Yeah, we stayed there a while longer and never heard anything else.
Yeah, well, something ran that deer out of there. You heard it coming behind the deer, right? How did it sound compared to the deer running?
Yeah. All we heard was the deer running.
And we just heard the
Oh,
deer running.
Okay.
I mean, whatever it was, trust me, I know.
It's going to come towards us because there was more land there. You know, it would have been
You're right.
shorter distance, but they didn't know we were there, so it tried to go across the river and it drowned. But it was scared enough to jump in the river in the middle of the day. Something was chasing it, you know, so it wasn't anything that, you know, hunts at night, you know. It was
Wow.
weird.
That's weird.
So, we definitely know mountain lions and stuff because we have them all here. You know what I mean? And that wasn't the MO of a mountain lion. You know what I mean? Because for one, they try to avoid people at all costs. Period. So they wouldn't have been in that area. So it definitely. But my dad has said he's seen strange things on the river bluffs, though. So,
Oh, absolutely. That's where a lot of strange things happen. So let me tell you something. So I went to Southern University, A&M College, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right there on the bluff. And when I was a freshman, and I'm still not sure what the hell this was. As a freshman, you know, you're in the dorms, right? And so if you're trying to get some privacy with this broad, I'll never forget this girl. She was so gorgeous. Her name was Tamika. Um, just a little, I mean, girl from Amite, Louisiana. So she's like, "I want to go hang out." And so we walk over to the bluff, and it's nighttime. It's a full moon. And she's like, "Well, let's go down by the river." And I'm like, "I don't really want to walk down there by the river, girl. We'll chill out up here." She's like, "Nah, come on, let's go down to the river." She real country girl, like hardcore country. So she talked me into walking down there, and we're just standing along the bank of the river talking. And I'm trying to run some kind of game, and and she says, "What's that further down the bluff? What's that further down?" And I'm like, "I don't know." She's facing me, it's behind me. I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like hugging her, you know, I'm trying to get a kiss, do all this other stuff. So finally she's like, "Jay, for real, turn around, dog, like for real." So I turn and I look, and you see what looks like this black shadow down on all fours, like just like, but it's stupid because it's got like these long arms and long legs. And so imagine long arms, long legs. Its knees are bent, but its back is kind of rounded. And she's like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "I don't know, but I told you we shouldn't have came down here in the first place. Let's head back on up." So we start working our way back up the bluff. You kind of got to walk this little winding little path back up. When we get up to the top and look back in that direction, it's gone. And I'm like, "Man, that's crazy." But on that bluff, on those rivers, there's always crazy, weird stuff going on. Just insanely weird stuff. So I can believe it 100%. And now I'm thinking about Tamika. Man, I've had some beautiful women in my life. Lord, thank you, Jesus, for blessing me with beautiful women, because that has been the greatest gift of my life, is to be around so many beautiful women. But yeah, I've seen some crazy
But
stuff, man.
thank you. I mean, like I said, you do some excellent work, and I know you really because I done heard other, but you kind of get leery because you like, man, yeah. So you gotta really discern because some people just want to call in and say some stuff just to be saying some stuff. But I like to really try to find stuff that you know where it kind of ain't made up. You can just really hear, even when you relay somebody else's story, you can tell that person really been through something.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, so like I said, I just wanted to throw a different aspect and give, and it's God. I don't know why God wanted me to do it, but hopefully, whatever me and my wife gave you, I'm not one of them cats that's gonna call and bug you, bro. I just wanted to relay a few tidbits of information, and that, like I said, that book that you can get is a series of them. And like I said, I love it because it shows you exactly what has been taken out the Bible and the understanding of a lot of what was really going on pre-flood
Well, would you
and
do me
why
this
God brought.
honor? Let's make it let's make a deal. You do me this honor. I'm gonna go through the research that your wife sent. And because you sent it to me, will you do me the honor of doing a recording with me? We're not gonna do it live. We're just gonna do it in private. I'll study it, read it. You and I just have a conversation about it behind the scenes that we can release to everybody. Because I know you got more knowledge than what you're giving off right now. I hear it. It's trying to leak out, and you don't want to leak it out right now. I can hear it in your voice because you're holding back. Let's do something together where we can talk about it and then release it to the public where we can both discuss it. But I want to read it first, what you have, because I'm very familiar with the wars of the Nephilim. I'm extremely familiar with what actually those wars between the Hebrew Israelites that left out of Egypt and the tribes that they were fighting, what those tribes actually were. And a lot of that stuff wasn't what people think it was, but nonetheless, I want to go into that because there was some wild stuff going on. I alluded to it on some of the streams when I was digging into it, but I didn't want to go all the way there. So we can go there because there, like you said, you mentioned it. There was some blood, literally blood sucking freaking tribes that they fought against, like crazy stuff. So can we commit to doing that? Would you be interested?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll pray on it. I'll make sure God brings me whatever. And like I said, my wife, she's a hell of, I mean, her and the Holy Spirit be working together. So I'm guaranteed she's gonna have more information for us too. So I love it. I love to do anything that God wants me to do. First
We
and
got it. We
foremost, that's
got a
just
deal
all I
then.
need.
We got a deal then. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, appreciate you. You have a good night and be safe, brother.
I will. Okay.
All right, bye.
Man, I told you, smartest audience on the planet, smartest family on the planet, guys. Let me address something in the chat real quick, even though the K are popping them. So if you come into this chat and you're an idiot, and you hear this man talking about God and the Most High, and you get offended because you're under the preconceived notion and you're carrying this in your mind that anybody here is judging you because of whatever your religious belief is. That's your motherfucking problem. That's not my problem. That's not the caller's problem. That's not any problem of any of the however many people in here, because I can't see it right now. That's nobody else's problem but yours. Here, I have said it 1,000 times. I respect everybody's religion. I just told a story about Sally Ann Glassman, the highest voodoo, one of the highest voodoo practitioners in the United States, and that I learned from her, because knowledge is of God. Not all knowledge is good, but knowledge is still of God. And so, um, the whole thing is we learn from each other. So if you find yourself here, because a lot of people are here, and some of you guys are lurking, if you find yourself here and you find yourself offended, understand that is your mind. That is your mental issue. That's something that you're projecting on everybody else. That's why I tell the moderators to be savages, because that's your problem. That's not our problem. And that's what's going on in the world today. Everybody else wants to project their beliefs, their feelings, their emotions on somebody else and turn somebody else bad. No, you're the one fucked up. Because we've been consistently the same here from day one. I've been the same person, the same dude. I'm cool, I'm laid back, I be chilling. You fuck with me, I fuck with you. Same thing. So when you find yourself in this environment, think to yourself, like literally, am I being offended by something that they said, or am I being offended because I'm just fucking being offended? And then think before you start typing. You know what I'm saying? Before you say something, think. And I say it all the time to people on my channel, because people tend to comment and not really think about what they're saying because they don't expect a reply from someone. So they say all kinds of crazy stuff. I went back and forth with a guy today. He was talking about Vic Cundiff and how I was extremely aggressive and it made me look bad. And I'm like, you really under the impression that I give a shit about how I look when somebody played with me like that? You don't clearly don't know me. I am who I am. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're here and you're new, be mindful. That's why I tell people, when you join the Dark Waters family, go back and listen, because there's history to it. The channel's actually set up to where if you listen, I document everything. Even my community tab, I document things that happened in the past, and I even document things now that I know are going to happen in the future. And then later in the future, it proves to be true. But I document them now. I time, date, and stamp them. And I'll say marker this day, blah, 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 blah. Then 6 months from now, I'll be like, okay, let me go pull this marker back up because I saw this before it happened. So you can't learn anything being offended, like my friend says here, Nightwolf. And this ain't the place for you if you weak. I'm sorry. I'm not the person to listen to. I'm just not that person. You dig? Real over fake over here, baby. And that's how we do it. Woo! Man, some fantastic calls. EP, I saw that was you calling me, Eric. Call me back, dog. Because I just saw you call me on my phone. Then I saw the number pop up. But I was letting my man talk. Let's see. Really quickly. Yeah, that was you. Holler back at me, Eric. Like, Eric has an ongoing thing right now. I haven't told his story because he's still dealing with it. Eric has an epic freaking story. I mean, we talking about stuff that's been going on for 2 years. Epic, on the level of it was written, it is written type stuff. But I haven't spoken on it because he ain't got through it. And it's very, very inconsiderate to talk about an encounter like that when the person's still dealing with it. Actually, it can make it worse. So it's one of those things that I'd rather wait until we work it out and work through it. And then we'll talk about it. Same thing with Connor. The reason why y'all didn't hear Connor for years is because Connor, we were working through it. And for witnesses and people who have ongoing activity, we work through that activity, we work through that problem, then we talk about it. And that's what a person who has ethics and morals do or does. You don't just exploit that person's bad luck and say, oh, okay, you know, so you told me your dog man encounter, and let me tell it. Now, before I take this next phone call, let me say this. The last caller, he dropped so much knowledge in pieces that if you well, he didn't, it was like breadcrumbs. Honestly, it was beautiful breadcrumbs. It wasn't even just regular bread either. It was some of that expensive, you know, French bread where they took the dough and they slapped it on a table and poured flour on it and beat it and pushed it together. I mean, it was beautiful. He dropped some very, very beautiful breadcrumbs. When he started talking about women and their menstruation and why the women were taken, my girl Sunshine, I don't know where she is, and I'm gonna have to call her because she hasn't been here in a while. I need to check on her. During our conversation, She alluded, well, she didn't allude to, she talked about her dogman encounter and how she believed that her menstrual cycle had something to do with her dogman encounter, had a lot to do with her dogman encounter. And so, if you, when you actually talk to real witnesses, you start to gather and collect data. Either, for me, I do it mentally. It's kind of like, okay, I take a note of this, I take a note of this, and then you start organizing them and putting the data together where it's like, okay, this is something that's common when it comes to women's dogman encounters. But he dropped so many breadcrumbs that if you go back and listen to what the man said and then you just dig on what he just said, literally, not throw the book out. I have never heard of the book. I'm not saying don't read the book. But prior, but outside of him talking about the books, listen to words that came out of the man's mouth, and he just drops breadcrumb after breadcrumb after breadcrumb, and it's amazing that we have that level of intelligence, that level of knowledge in the Dark Waters family. I love people who read. I said 1,000 times, readers are leaders. Go back and look at my community tab because the only way you learn is by studying, and the way you master things is by practicing. Which is why I've been 13, really 14, really Candy. God, that's not bad. Now that I'm being conscious of it in 2 hours, that's not bad. I mean, I didn't get to 20. God, 14, girl, I'm tricking you. You definitely passed a McDonald's Happy Meal. You definitely passed a McDonald's Happy Meal. All right, guys. I'm not doing anything. It's 10 o'clock. While he was talking, my old lady called me, let me know that she was good. So I don't have to go. All things are well. I'll take some more calls and we'll see what's going on. In the meantime, allow me to plug for a moment, please. If you haven't joined, let me take the cigar out of my mouth so I can really plug. If you haven't joined Dogman Cam's project, go and sign up. It's really, really important that you sign up, and let me explain to you exactly why. We have an opportunity to do something, or we're already in the process of doing. Nope, that's not even right. We've already done what nobody else has done because we had 4 working cameras. Now we're going into the expansion phase. The target is a total of 10 operating cameras. Pause at 10, go through more marketing, and then roll out the next phase of cameras. Vault alluded to the 4 camera deal. I'm not sure if he told you guys everything. That 4 camera deal has 1 camera at a haunted house, 1 camera at a haunted school, 1 camera on property where there's definitely not only Bigfoot activity, but there's a giant Black Panther there. Then another camera where there's this freaking, basically an island, where there's been a lot of Dogman activity. And no, it's not Dogman Island, so that's not the same island. But so that's 4 cameras in crazy territory. We already have the one at Vault's property. We had Taylor. Taylor's coming back. We have Blue over in Fort Pierce, Florida. We have Connor in Virginia. And then we're going to have that other one that goes out to D. Dawes. So that project is right at its tipping point to where it's not only going to blow up, it's going to change everything there is about the way people perceive the cryptid community. And then, right now, I am currently reaching out to some smaller YouTubers who are actually active field investigators. I reached out to one today. I like her personality. I like the fact that she's actually out into the woods and doing things. I just did it again. She's out into the woods and doing things and very, very active. I really like that about this person. And so I would like to sponsor that person and get them a parabolic microphone, get them a better camera because they're doing everything on their cell phone, and get them more equipment that'll allow them to actually capture evidence. Maybe a trail camera or something like that. When it comes to this field of paranormal research and cryptid research, you see the entire industry shoots itself in the foot. I watched a stream last night, right? Did it again. I watched the stream last night. I'm really gonna pay some money tonight. I watched the stream last night, and it was a panel. One, two, three, four, 5 people talking on this panel. Out of the five, one, two, three, four of the no, 3 of the 5 had this preconceived notion that the monetization of content was a bad thing. So the conversation was, well, I don't like people who charge people to listen to their content, and I don't like people who charge people for this, and I shouldn't have to pay to listen to content. Well, that mentality is the main reason why you don't have the evidence. It's because of that very same mentality. The mentality of something should be for free. So, for example, the young lady that I'm talking about who goes out into the woods in the freezing cold, and she captures things like tree breaks. She captures, if I'm not mistaken, today they found like a nest. They leave things out in the woods to try and attract Bigfoot. The expectation is that she should go out into freezing weather to capture evidence and then just give it to you. So she should go to her job, work all day, go out into the woods, capture evidence, and then hand that evidence over to you. But when you look at what she's going out with, she doesn't have all the equipment she needs to be successful in order to get the evidence that you want. Why? Because of that same mentality of, oh, somebody's greedy, or, oh, it should be free. Nothing free is really good, number one. Number two, the drugs that you have, Bayer Aspirin, even though the Bayer company is known for being one of the worst corporations in the world, Bayer Aspirin took research, R&D. The planes that you fly on take R&D. The cars that you drive take R&D. R&D, research and development, is money. So when you have that mentality in an industry across the board, and the mentality is everything should be for free, you get the results of that free stuff, which is why you don't have very many results. So Bob Gimlin, when he went and he caught the video of Patty, it took Bob gas money. He had to pay for that camera. If I'm not mistaken, they were on horses. Like, it takes funding to do that. Bob probably took that money out of his own pocket and went and did it, and he captured some of the greatest evidence there was. But if Bob had $1 million to go out into the woods, I guarantee you would have got a hell of a lot more evidence. So this concept of everything should be free is a hindrance. It's a hindrance. Now, with that being said, the solution to it is a project like Dogman Cams, a project where not only do you have the cameras, and you guys are going to see the transparency real soon. I've been working on the back end so you can see where the money's going. It needs the transparency so you can see that, hey, money's coming in, small amount of profits being taken, but a boatload of money is going back out to actually find these cryptids. It started off with 5 cameras that cost $243 a piece, that were all operating on SIM cards, which those SIM cards cost $65 a month. So the project took a cash infusion in order to get started. So therefore, you understand and you realize that it takes money to actually get what you want. So if you want to get to the truth, that's a project you need to support. It's not expensive. It's $6 a month. Get on board, dogmancams.com, because it's heading in that direction. It's rapidly heading in that direction. Some of the hurdles that we're facing right now is the conversion from 3G to 5G, with the whole 5G network coming online, which is really, really knocking off 3G, 4G devices. So that's a bit of a problem, but we're working around that. And some of those cameras were 3G, 4G cameras, and we're realizing, okay, this particular camera is not working anymore. So we have to come up with a solution. But in the process of going through those, kind of trying to solve that problem, we've come up with methods that would allow us now to go put a camera anywhere. Literally anywhere. Like there need not be a cell phone signal in that area. And we've come up with solutions that will allow that camera that's anywhere to have a battery pack with it that charges via the solar panels and keeps it running 24/7, as long as people don't just really, really abuse it. So the project is a group of people putting their heads together and coming up with solutions that are actually going to capture evidence. And as we go into phase two of the project, which is pulling in the other researchers, which is what we're doing now, as we pull those other researchers in who are active field researchers. I mean, people who are already out there, they already have a YouTube channel, they may not have the number of subscribers or the amount of attention that they truly deserve at this point in time, but they're active. As you get those active people who already have the kahunas to go into the woods, not somebody who's sitting on Facebook collecting photos and keeping them in a group and protecting, oh, these are dogman photos, these are Bigfoot photos, but someone who's already active in the field. As we coalesce and work with those people, you will see massive results because now you have all the data points to compare things. So if we're looking at a tree break in Alaska versus a tree break in North Carolina, same sign, same height, same configuration. The tree branch is not just broken, it's twisted and cracked. Now we're really capturing evidence. So head on over to dogmancams.com and become a member. Now, if you want some of the best stories on the planet, true vetted stories, which you're listening to happening right here, right now, live. This is a form of vetting. It's nowhere near as aggressive as the normal vetting that I do, but I am vetting just because my mind can't help it as I'm talking to people. If you want to hear these type of stories, go to iam.waters.com. Hands down, I don't care what anybody says, that's the best content when it comes to the paranormal world. That's the best content on the internet. I don't care. I put it up against anything. Any creepypasta, whatever, whoever. I put up. The only person that I think that could probably tell a story better than me personally is Morgan Freeman. And I will give Morgan Freeman a run for his money because there's storytelling. There's things that I don't even do right now, tonality wise and rhythmically in my storytelling, because I want to hold it off until I meet a worthy opponent. Eventually, I'm gonna meet a worthy opponent who says I'm better than you, and then you really gonna see something that you're gonna hear something you've never heard. But I'm holding on to that. I'm holding on to that. All right, guys, 311 likes, 403 people. Let's get back to the phone lines. I got a call. Hey, this is Dalt Waters. I'm sorry I was keeping you on hold. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Danny, man. It's good to hear from you, D-Dub. Man, I've got an encounter. I was, always interested in, I think it was an encounter with a Bigfoot one time. I'll get into that later. This Dogman story, me and my son, well, my dad has a couple big farms here in West Virginia. I'm from West Virginia.
Okay.
One farm's 300 acres, the other one's 200 acres. The only thing that's separating them, though, is the county road. Of course, me and my son, we always go hunting first day, deer season. I've never seen nothing like this. Don't get me wrong, my son's a brush beater.
Okay.
He beats the brush. I call him the dog. I told him, I told him, hey, if you want to beat brush, beat brush. I'll be the one waiting at the end to get the deer. And, I used to, do the tree stand thing. And we've got on the 300 acre farm, it's, we own ridge to ridge, it's a valley. So picture a valley, ridge to ridge, meadows, open meadows. When we get, I'd say 2/3 to the end of the farm, we've got a road cut out through the farm. And there's a fingerling that cuts off about 2/3 up the road, and it's another valley, which we put a big 2.5 acre pond in, and which has got a high wall. And we've got a cabin, a primitive cabin, hunting cabin, built above it. It's beautiful, beautiful. Got a big porch on it, really nice. Well, back to the story. My son, we have skeet tournaments up there. The family. My dad put a big 20 by 40 concrete pad in off the road that we put in, about 100 yards down into the field. And we do skeet tournaments off of it. And, well, hey, nothing better than taking the Z92, parking it on that concrete pad before daylight, because it's totally illegal. And I've got heat, got my coffee, and let the dogs chase them out into the fields. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the bucks. And which that's what my son does. But mind you, it's 2/3 of the way through the property. So my boy, he'll go up and drink coffee with me on the concrete pad. And I'll set my gun outside, which we both do, for our scopes. Not just to jerk him out of a warm truck, but he, like I said, he's a brush beater. So he goes before daylight. He'll go up to the road, walk back to the beginning of the property, and go up into the woods. We got logging roads up through there. And at noon, I work my way from the truck, which is on the ski pad, and I worked my way up to the cabin. And at noon, we'd meet up, and I took lunch, on the wood burner. We got a big wood burner in there. And, this has been 3 years ago. And I saw, mind you, from shoulder to shoulder, anything that moves. I've got on that ski pad, I've got a shot at 400 yards all the way around me. Clear fields. And that's my best time, is when I call them the dogs, the guys going into the woods, to their stands or whatever. They chase the deer right out to the openings, and I thrive. I got a 7mm BDL, Remington mag, and it's got see-through mounts. I thrive for a buck to come running out of the woods at 300 yards at full pace. I'll roll it.
What?
I'll roll it. I've never missed. Never have I ever missed. And I've got many witnesses who will tell you I've never missed. I'll catch them in my iron sights. I'll look straight up into the scope, roll them, head over heels. I've never not been able to get a deer in my sights at a full pace, at a full run. So this was 3 years ago. Matter of fact, this is the last time I went hunting up there. But my boy, we got done drinking coffee, and he got out and walked up to the road. Mind you, there's a high wall because of the pond. He can't see from where he's at on the road. It's that fingerling going up to, it's another valley going up to our cabin. We have it's called an Indian gate.
Okay.
Which is barbed wire with 2 fence posts tacked to it, to where you can take it down and back and forth for the logging roads.
Okay.
And it's 150 yards from the road, and it's up straight uphill, but it's all open field to that Indian gate. Then you get into the woods, which is thick, and we unclean to the ridge. And the ridge from the Indian gate, the ridge is another 300 yards. So it's 300 yards of woods. My boy got up to the road there, and started walking. Because what he does, he'll walk back up to the road, go to the beginning of our property, go up into the woods and work his way out to the cabin. And we usually meet at noon. Well, he got up to the road, and I'm outside the truck drinking coffee, got the gun outside, and I saw movement. And it was above him. It was at that Indian gate. And this Indian gate is where all these, like, logging trails come together, but it's really thick. The woods is really thick there. And I saw something cross the Indian gate, jump over it. And instantly I'm looking. I hadn't grabbed the gun. I never pull the trigger unless I know. And, dude, what I saw across the gate, but mind you, he couldn't see it. Because there's that high wall.
Okay.
Above him. And he couldn't see that field going up to the woods above him. Well, I'm sitting there, and what I saw across the gate was every bit. It looked like a huge wolf. Huge dog. But it looked like a coyote, but 11 foot long.
Ooh.
But when it hit the field after it jumped that gate, the collar, it was like, you ever seen a calico cat?
No.
Okay, it's tan, white, black. It was multicolored. It had a fluffy tail, but this thing moved down the field toward my son, but it moved like if you take a drop of water in the rain and let it hit a window and let that raindrop go down that window. This is the way it moved.
That's smooth.
It was so smooth, but it was unpredictable. It would move from one point to the next, and then back to. But the intersecting point was my son.
Oh, hell no.
Well, I grabbed my gun. I laid it across my hood, and I never made a noise. I didn't even yell at my son. And I thought, I'm dropping this. I'm dropping it. As soon as I laid my gun across the hood, I looked through my iron sights. That's all I got to do is look through my iron sights, look up a 1/4 inch, and it's in my scope. And it's done. It did a U-turn. Instantly did a U-turn, like a centipede. Its mouth was, its face, its head was literally beside its back, by its tail. By its tail. This is the U-turn this thing made. And it ran in a straight line. And I thought, it's not going to make it to the Indian gate. Because I'm going to catch it before it gets to the Indian gate. DW, it's the only time that I couldn't ever get something in my scope. It ran so fast. I'd catch it in my iron sight, and as soon as I pulled my head up, I was catching the tail. And by this time, my son's looking at me. Like, what? He's thinking I'm aiming the gun at him. And when it jumped the Indian gate, where it came across at first, it beelined to the left, which meaning it was going behind the cabin. And my boy's yelling at me, what are you doing? What are you doing aiming the gun at me? And I'm like, no. I said, stop right there. I said, come back. I said, come back now. I started my truck, got in the truck, threw my gun on the back seat, and this thing screamed so loud. My boy even heard it. He's like, "What is that?" Well, I'm driving up to get back up to the road. I said, "Get in the truck." I said, "We're not hunting today. We're not hunting up here." He said, "Oh yeah, I am." He said, "Yeah, I am." He said, I told him, I said, "Didn't you just hear that scream?" I said, "Have you ever heard anything like that?" And he's like, "No." I said, "Well, then let's not hunt today." He said, "Oh, I'm going." He said, I'm going hunting." Well, he did. And I tell you, DW, it took everything. Because I took my truck back down, parked it back on a skeet pad.
Hmm.
It took all I had. Because it's every bit of 600 yards, from the truck, another 75 yards to our road we cut out. And then from the road we cut out to the cabin is another 500. Past, you got to walk up above the pond, and the cabin sits back in the valley. And that's where that thing was headed. That's where I heard the scream. And I was on high alert. I've never, ever in my life, I swear to God, I've never in my life not been able to put something in my scope. I've never, ever. And it scared me. I haven't been hunting up there since. That's been 3 years ago.
Wow.
But no, I tell you, I was so on high alert walking up to the cabin, making my way to the cabin, to the front porch. Mind you, the cabin's facing the pond, which is facing toward my truck down the valley. And the scream came from behind the cabin. So I wanted.
I couldn't have did it, bro. I couldn't have did it. I couldn't have.
It took all I had. I tell you, D-Dub, I waited till 15 minutes to 12 before I got out of my truck. And because I knew my son would be coming around the point a little after 12. It took all I had.
And it didn't bother him though. Like he wasn't tripping.
No, well, he didn't see it. He didn't see it. He heard the scream. I told him, I said, "Didn't you hear this?" He's like, "Yeah." He said, "I've never heard nothing like it." He said, "I don't care. I'm going hunting." And he trumped them woods all morning. I was like, and mind you, I'm not a brush beater. A dog. I'm not a dog. I won't beat the brush. That's what I leave them guys up to. So I get the buck when
Yeah,
they
you get the
chase him
book
out.
when they chase him out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I sit on that porch, which it's a log cabin. So I had my back toward the valley, but I had nothing but solid log behind me. And if that thing came up on that porch, it would have been full of 7 mag. But my boy, he come around the point, and I just begged him. I said, "Come on." But I tell you this much, that was the first year that I ever saw that the deer, instead of going around the point and going back behind the cabin through the woods on them logging roads, they cut across.
Right out in the open, huh?
They ran the gauntlet. They ran right out in front of me. Instead of going through the valley, they ran straight across by the pond, right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
None of them took the valley. But this thing was multicolored, but it was every bit of 11, 12 foot long. That was the tail too.
That's with the tail. That's not just the body. So we got the tail. Okay, gotcha. That's still big, man. How much would you say it weighed?
Oh my God! 450.
That's a big. That's a
It was
big monster
huge.
right there. That's a
It
monster.
was huge. It was huge. When it crossed that fence, I thought it was a horse. Yeah, when it crossed that Indian gate, I thought it was a horse, but we didn't have an Appaloosa, which your Appies are, tan, white, a little bit of dark brown. This thing was multicolored. It was like a calico cat. It was black, white, tan, but it was so fluent when it come down through the field. I mean, it was literally, that's the only way I can explain it. It was like a drop of water running down a window. Unpredictable. But as soon as I laid that 7 mag across the hood of my truck, and instantly stopped, and did a U-turn like a centipede. Its head was beside its tail.
And
It was unreal.
So how far away from it were you when you laid the weapon across the hood of the truck? How far was that distance?
150 yards.
Man, that's par for the course, man. That when I say par for the course, that's par for the course. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's their sense of hearing or if it's a sense of smell, but that's straight par for the course. As for them being able to, like, literally, one guy told me, he's like, man, this thing was about 150 yards out in the open field, and he said I just wanted to see it with my scope. He said I lifted up my rifle, looked through my scope, and it turned and it looked at the scope. And I was like, you were in a tree. He was in like a tree stand. I was like, you're in a tree stand, right? He was like, yeah. I said, were you like in a blind or were you just sitting on a stand? He's like, no, I was in a stand. He said, I had a branch right in front of me where I could lay my rifle on it. He said, man, I moved as slow as possible. The same thing I would do with a deer. And he said, I looked it through the scope and then it turned and it looked directly at me through the scope. And I said, dude, I was like, dude, I'm speechless. But I've heard it over and over and over again. I haven't figured out what it is about them that allows them to do that. That right there, that just doesn't add up to me. It just doesn't.
And what blows my mind is as soon as I jumped that gate and was headed down through the field toward my son, I saw the pattern it was making. It was making a zigzag pattern. It was like, as I said, like as if water, but it was so fluid. It was very fluid, but it was moving like water down a window, like a drop of water. If you drop it on a window, and it was moving zigzag pattern. But as soon as I laid that gun across the hood, it stopped, looked straight at me, and it did a U-turn, and the U-turn was so unreal. I had to take a double take because its head was beside its tail.
Do you
in
think
the
that?
U-turn.
Do you think that zigzag pattern was the way it was running, or was it an exaggerated zigzag? Was it like the stride that made it look like it was zigzagging, or was it literally like going, 10 yards straight, then 20 yards to the right, then going 30 yards to the left, or was it just the stride and the way it was moving?
No, you just meant just what you said. 10 yards to the right, 20 yards to the left, 5 yards to the right, 6 yards to the left. It was unpredictable the way it come down. But my son couldn't see it because of that high wall of the pond. But I saw it. And as soon as I laid that gun across the hood, when it did that U-turn, it was a straight line. And I've never, and which my son is like, which I didn't pull the trigger. I've never not been able to get something in my crosshairs. I strive for that shot. For a deer in an open field 300 yards away in a full blast run, I love to just watch them curl and roll. But as soon as I would pull it up from my iron sights and go to my scope, the only thing I was catching was the back tail. I could not get it in my scope. That bothered me. That bothered me really bad.
It still bothers you to this day. I can hear it in your voice. It kind of pisses you off and amazes you at the same time. You can hear it in your voice right now.
Yes. This year is going to be the first year that my brother asked me to go back hunting up there. I haven't been there for 3 years since this has happened. I'm going back up this year. Matter of fact, this month.
Well, it's been long enough. You should be fine, But if you get there,
yeah. But no, it bothered me. It bothered me because I've never had that happen. I've never not been able to put something in my crosshairs, and I couldn't get it in my crosshairs.
Yeah, but you're a living example of why I tell people that you shouldn't be going out there trying to hunt these things. People have they don't have the understanding of how fast and swift these creatures are. And I said to this day, if you saw the footage of the dog man run across the screen at Fort Pierce in Fort Pierce, Florida, not only how big it was, but how fast it was, within nanoseconds, it was across the screen simultaneously while stopping and looking at the camera. You understand exactly what we're dealing with here, and it's not something that you need to be going to hunt because you're not going to be able to do anything with it. You're just not going to. It's just not going to work out for you. You would have to trap that.
Yes, yeah. I'm sorry to. I'm not hunting for it. I'm going up there for the biggest buck. That I've got a lot of wall mounters, man, and I've always got them off that farm. And I haven't been hunting for 3 years. This will be my first year in 3 years that I've been back up there.
Well, let me say this. If you get back out there and the deer are still running the gauntlet, then you still got you a problem. Just automatically assume it.
Yeah, definitely. But this has bothered me for a while. Well, for 3 years. It's my son's like, bull crap. I mean, he's still to this day, he's like, that's bull crap. What's in the coffee? And I'm like, no, dude, no. He's like, which he's like, what was you doing pointing a gun at me? I was like, no, I was above you. I was like, something was coming down to you. But I knew exactly where it was going to intersect, and it was going to intersect him. And I couldn't let that happen. Now, if I would have put the gun across the hood when it was coming down through the field, when it was zigzagging, I think I could have got it in my crosshairs. But when it turned in a straight line, went straight back to that Indian gate, I couldn't get it. I get it in my iron sights, but at a little over 200 yards in your iron sights, I couldn't pull the trigger because I didn't want to wound it. I didn't know what it was. I wanted to see what it was. I never pull the trigger unless I'm out.
No, that's a smart decision, and I'm glad you didn't pull a trigger at all because based on what you're describing, had you pulled that trigger, you wouldn't have been having a happy time, and your son wouldn't have been able to go up in the woods and tramps around like everything was cool. It would have been an issue. It would have really been an issue. And for the record, you probably have more than one in that area at that point in time. They tend to hunt in packs, so you probably had more than one. So you saw that one. Ain't no telling what the hell else was around there. Honestly, there's no telling what else was there.
But yeah, but honest to God, it was like, well, don't get me wrong. I've got a buddy, and this can be verified. I work out the oil field here in West Virginia.
Okay.
And you ever heard of Dallas Pike? It's Wheeling, West Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
We were approximately a mile and 3/4 from Cabela's. We were putting a pipeline in, and 3 of us foremen, our supervisor took us out to this pipeline to show us how they wanted it put in. And this pipeline, it come down a right of way, which was a pretty steep grade. We were down in the bottom. and at the bottom of the right of way.
Okay.
And now I hope my supervisor, he don't get pissed off at me. But this guy, dude, he's huge. He's huge. This guy is huge.
You said it like 5 times. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. Go ahead.
Okay, put it this way. He's in the world's strongest man contest. And he ranks number 2.
Okay, yeah, he's huge for real.
He's huge. He carries his dumbbells that he carries in the back of his truck. Okay, you know propane tanks for your gas grill?
Right.
Okay, he's filled 4 of them up with concrete, welded a 2-inch steel bar between them. Those are his dumbbells.
Yeah, he need to put that down. That's too many muscles.
I can't drag him out of the truck.
He can't run with them kind of muscles, man. He too big. He can't do nothing with that.
He's a huge dude. And we're all at the bottom of this right away, and he's going to be mad if he hears this. But this is what. I mean, this happened here recently, and this is why I'm looking. You know, that I look back at what happened with me and my son. But he had to take crap. We're all sitting there talking about this ride, this pipeline we're coming down, and he's like, "Hey, man, guys, I'm going up the right away here a little ways, and I got to take shit." Excuse my language. And us other 4 are, we're foremen. We're sitting there talking. We're like, yeah, go ahead, man. Shit, go ahead. So he takes off and goes up the right of way. We lost sight of him about 75 yards up the hill. Well, he cuts off to the right, goes into the woods. Well, we're down there 10 minutes, and here he comes blasting out of the tree line with his pants down around his ankles, with his boxers down around his ankles, and his dick hanging out, running, screaming to us, coming down the hill. And we're all laughing. And we're just busting out laughing like, what kind of joke is this guy playing? Well, he gets to us, and mind you, his pants are still down around his ankles. His boxers are still there, down around his ankles. His little dinghy's hanging out. All 4 of us are just laughing at him, and he can't talk. He's like, da, 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 blah, blah, blah. And we're like, dude, what the hell? Pull your pants up. And he's still trying to, you would think he was Italian. He was using his hands so much. But we couldn't understand what he was saying. And we couldn't get him to slow down. And I'm looking at everybody, I'm like, hey guys, come on, man. And I said, hey, I said, and he's trying to talk, and I'm like, dude, pull your pants up. I said, we cannot
hold a conversation with you with your pants down.
Yeah. I said, you need to pull your pants up, bro. I said, we cannot talk to you without laughing with your pants around your ankles. I was like, he still didn't even realize his pants were down. And finally, we get him to pull his pants up, and he's like, I just saw a werewolf. The other 3 foremen are laughing, making fun of him. And I'm telling him to shut up because that caught my interest. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, he said, I got about 30 yards into the tree line. He said, I pulled my pants down, leaned against the tree. He said, well, when I went to look up, he said, 15 feet in front of me. He said he had to walk by it. I mean, it was toward the right of way. So he either had to walk by it or it came in on him while he was pulling his pants down. And he said 15 foot straight in front of me. He said, dude, when I leaned back against that tree and raised my head up, he said, I caught hawks. You know, like a dog's hawks. He said he kept looking up. It was jet black. He said it was jet black. He said it had its hand wrapped around the tree, looking straight at him. He said it had bright yellow eyes, and he said it was smiling at him.
That's not a first.
And he said he couldn't get out of there fast enough. But he said he had to run by it to get to us, which was crazy. I was like, he said, no, he said, dude, he said, I made a 45-degree angle down the hill from it. And he said, no, he said it was smiling. He said it had a smirk on its face. And all the other three foremans were laughing at him. And I'm like, no. I said, I know he was serious. This guy is way too big to not be serious.
Oh, he ran down half the hill with his pants down and his ding-a-ling hanging out. You know he was serious.
Oh, yeah, all the way to us, down into the bottom.
No, he ain't.
All
he ain't
all the way
lying.
to us. No, he wasn't lying. And sitting there with his pants down, trying to talk to us for 5 minutes.
Yeah, he ain't lying. And then a big man like that, if it's something normal size, you know, this is the one thing about people who keep themselves in shape and who they carry themselves a certain way. They have a certain attitude. Like for that size man to behave that way, he saw something that mentally he knew he couldn't deal with, and he knew there was no way he could deal with that. And when we talk about the smiling, there was a guy just recently, and I'm getting ready to do that story tomorrow, called the Smiling Dog Man. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the photos where they mock up online where it's like a dog smiling. Like literally, that's exactly what this guy described outside of his window, except for the head was the size of your freaking car tire, and the teeth were the size of your thumb, and it was smiling at him through the window.
That's
So,
exactly what he said. He said it was all. He said the head was huge, and he said it was like a smirk, like it was smiling at him, like an evil grin.
right, like
what he
I caught you
described.
with I literally caught you with your pants down.
Yeah. He ran all the way to us with his pants down.
Oh my god, that's hilarious, but it's scary at the same time. Oh my god.
Oh, needless to say, I opted out of that pipeline.
Hey,
Yeah, I
but
opted out. Yeah, I
people
didn't want
don't
to. I didn't want
realize
to part
this.
of it.
You've worked on pipelines, so you understand that right of way goes through some of the roughest terrain that there is. And so it's just the highway. It's a super highway. Why run through the freaking bushes when you can just run down the pipeline? You know, it's a super highway.
Yeah, and then you know what's crazy? It was exactly 1 3/4 miles from Cabela's in Wheeling in Dallas Pike.
Wow. That's insane, man. I would love to talk to him, but he'd probably never tell that story. If I was him, I wouldn't tell that story.
He told me never tell nobody. But hey, he's got 4 of us to go through.
You know,
To
and
figure out who told it.
I wouldn't be mad at him if he changed the story and was like, "Yeah, I was taking a poop and I saw the dog man, and you know, it was smiling at me, and I pulled my pants up and I took off running. And I lost my pants." I wouldn't be mad if he changed that part, but yeah, I don't think he'll ever tell that story. I wouldn't tell that story to anybody.
He would tell it because he's an honest gentleman. Yeah, he is. He's very honest, and that's why I didn't laugh. I quit laughing when he started telling the story. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. When he ran up to us with his ding-a-ling hanging out, I was laughing my ass off. It was just funny until we finally got him. Till he finally got to start talking about it. Then I was like, "Dude, pull your pants up." Yeah, it was. Yeah. But I then again, you know, that same valley. Well, not my homestead. When I was young, I had an encounter. I don't know if it was a Bigfoot or it could have been a dog man. I'm thinking it might have been a Bigfoot because it had a smell of. I mean, it wasn't stinky. It was a smell of like sleeping in the woods. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had full day practices, football practice. You have time for this?
Yeah, I got all the time in the world.
All right. Yeah, I had full day football practice, and during the summer, I never had summer breaks, man. I freaking hated my summers because it was nothing but full day football practice. But I caught the activity bus 6:30 in the morning. I got off the activity bus at 9 o'clock at night, and I walked a little over a mile and a quarter to the homestead, and 2 houses on the whole entire road. So no lights, no night. I wasn't scared of nothing. You know what I mean? I was first string. I was I was built, and but yeah, my dad always beat it into me. There's nothing out there scarier than him. And I was like, all right, shit. So I never took a flashlight. I got off that activity bus at 9 o'clock at night. It was dark. So I had a 1.25 mile walk to the house. And, but that was my time to go over that day's practice. I would just sink myself in the practice, thinking of what I could do to better myself. And I'd just walk it. Mind you, knowing my dad would be at the house, sitting on the damn recliner, watching TV, not pick me up, man. And that always pissed me off. I'm like, hey, because I had 55-pound of gear. I had to wash every night. Every night I had to wash my football gear after practice. So, that meant that was later that I got to go to sleep. And, mind you, I'd come through the door and he'd be sitting on the couch. I thought, or in the recliner. I'd tell him, hey, can't you pick me up? And he was a big high school, football fan. And he's like, well, you made it home fine, didn't you? I never took a flashlight. The moon. We had about a half a mile into the walk, we had a big water reservoir. And this reservoir was huge. It was huge. They ended up draining it because there were so many drownings. I mean, a lot of drownings, like 17 drownings in this reservoir.
Wow.
So they drained it. Yeah, so they drained it to keep people from swimming in it. But that's where the thick woods started. And I got off the bus this one night, and honest to God, D-Dub, when the bus driver pulled out of my hollow, the end of my hollow, I couldn't see my hands from my face. It was hard for me. I almost couldn't keep my balance because I had nothing to focus on. There was nothing I could focus on.
Yeah, that's real dark.
Dude, it was so dark. So I stumbled to the edge of the road, and I put on the left side, I put 1 foot off the road and 1 foot on the road, and then that give my mind enough to know for my equilibrium so I could walk. I've never been in that kind of dark before in my life. And I made it to that reservoir, and mind you, I'm so deep in the playbook in my mind, there's nothing around me. I'm not listening to nothing. But I hear this road is a single lane road. It's 10 foot wide. So I'm on the left side. I was closest to where the old reservoir, the one that got drained. I had 1 foot, my left foot off the road, and my right foot on the on the road. And this is on the opposite side of the road. walking, crunch, 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 crunch beside me. And it took me, like, I'd say probably 50 yards before I noticed it. I never even noticed it because I wasn't, because I was so deep in thought. And I noticed it and I stopped. It stopped. Well, the only thing I could hear was this deep breathing. It was so raspy. It was like someone with emphysema. I was like, I thought it was a horse, is what I thought it was. Because we got a big farm, 300 acres up there. And I thought maybe one of our horses got out. And I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. But that breathing, when I stopped, it stopped, but it was directly across the road from me. I went straight to it. I swear to God on my life. I went straight to it. I got to the edge of the road. I stopped, held my right hand out. And it was a male presence is what I got. Just come here, boy. I thought it was one of my dad's buildings. Just come here, boy. I held my hand out. It didn't move.
Oh, hell no.
I swear to God on my life. But it was, I could tell it was only a couple of feet from me. It was just off the road. I said, come here. And I snapped my fingers at it, held my right hand out. And I was trying to smell. I was trying to get a smell. If it was maybe one of my dad's bulls, I would get a dairy smell, like a pasture and dairy smell. You know, if you ever smell a cow's breath.
Yes, I have. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I didn't smell that. And a horse it's just a straight green grass pasture smell. I didn't get that either. I just got it wasn't stinky. It was just like something that sleeps outside is what I got. So I stepped off the road, another foot off the road toward it, and snapped my fingers again, said, here, boy, come here. And it didn't retreat. It didn't back up. It didn't move forward either. It stayed in one spot. And just that deep, raspy breathing. But it sounded just like a horse. And I snapped my fingers and said, come here. And it didn't move toward me, but I felt the breath. And the breath didn't smell like anything that I ever smelled. And so I said, well, I swear to God, D-Dub, I swear to God on my life. I was like, the hell with you then. I turned. I did. I swear to God. I turned and started walking right on that edge of the road. And by golly, it started walking with me. And then I noticed it wasn't walking on 4 feet. It was 4 legs. It was walking on 2. And mind you, I couldn't see my hand from my face. So I thought, you know what? I stopped in mid-stride. I held my right foot up before it dropped to the ground. I held it. And by God, it did too. It did too. It stopped exactly when I did. And I thought, holy shit. It can see me.
Yep.
It can see me. And this fire, mind you, I've never been scared of nothing. Nothing. This fire started at my feet. And when it hit my head, oh no, it was a raging fire, dude. When it hit my head, mind you, I got a mesh bag of 55 pounds of my football gear, my helmet, my pads, everything that I've got to wash when I get home. It's on my back, across my shoulder. And when that fire hit my head, I was off to the races, brother. I mean, I knew I was running because I felt my head bobbing. I was the fear. I've never felt fear like this. It made me numb. I was numb. But I could tell I was running because I could feel my head bobbing, and every once in a while I would feel that bag of football gear hit me in the back, in my small of my back when I was running. Dude, I had another mile, well, 3/4 mile before I got to see my porch light. And I ran like the devil was on me. And I went through that door. We have, my dad, he was a wealthy businessman. And we had a big log cabin, a big oak door. I come through that door and almost ripped it off the hinges. And mind you, he jumps out of the recliner and he is so pissed. And he come up out of there because I about ripped the door off. He said, "What is your problem?" And mind you, I was not. I'm still yet. I was more scared of my dad than what I just experienced. You know what I mean? Because he was a big man. And he asked me what I was, why I come through the door like that. And I wasn't about to tell him. I just ran through something. There ain't no damn way.
Right.
There ain't no damn way. And the only thing I could think of was, you know what? If you would be at the end of the road and pick me up, that would give me 20 minutes to get my football gear in the washing machine, for me to get a shower, and get the...
Hey, that's thinking on your feet right there, bro. I thought you was going to say, give me enough time to do my homework and then get to bed. That's the thinking on your feet right there.
Yeah, well, see, it was for 30 summer breaks. I didn't have homework yet. I just told him, I said, that would give me 20 minutes to get all my football gear in the washing machine and for me to get tired and for me to catch. I had to walk back down there at 6:30 in the morning to catch the activity bus to go to practice. And, he's like, well, so next day at practice, honest to God, the next day, I never thought about it. It never even came into my mind what happened. Until I stepped off the bus that night. Dude, when I stepped off the bus that night, it was just as dark. I thought, son of a bitch. And I knew Dad was home on the recliner. I was like, Well, I commenced to walking. And by God, I swear on my life, when I got to the reservoir, I could hear it grab a tree and stand up on the opposite side of the road.
Wow.
Yeah. And I swear to God, I looked across the road. I said, "Damn it, you again." Fire from my feet when it hit my head. I was off the reason. I couldn't find that fucking porch light to save my life. I mean, I was running full. I was numb again. Now, this is 2 nights in a row. Now I'm pissed. Now I'm really pissed. Mind you, I weighed about 120 pounds soaking wet back in. And now when I come through that oak door, the second night, I almost did rip it off the hinges. Well, Dad jumps up, and he's pulling his belt off. And I said, "Yeah, you go ahead." He said, "Don't you ever come through my door like that." And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I got something chasing me from the reservoir home." He said, "Well, what is it?" I said, "Well, hell, I don't know. I don't know what it is." And mind you, he would get up 4:30 in the morning and go feed the farm animals. He had one of them old Ever-Ready flashlights with one of them big batteries in it.
Right, the big D battery
Yeah.
flashlight.
Oh, no, this thing was like a 4D battery thing. This thing was huge. Expect me to take that to school with me. Gee,
Oh, you talking about the big old red flashlight with the big old lens on it? Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I had an image to uphold. There was no way I'd take a flashlight like that to school with me. he comes over to me with this damn flashlight. And mind you, we had solid oak floors and shit. And hands me the flashlight. He said, well, take this with you. Honest to God, D-Dub, I didn't care how big he was. I smashed that flashlight on the floor. I smashed it. And that was his old trusty flashlight, too. I said, don't do that. I said, don't you dare do this to me. I said, you always told me there's nothing out there to be scared of. And D-Dub, I did not want to know what I heard grab that tree and get its ass up off the ground that night. Whatever it was big. It was big. And I wouldn't want to put a light in it. And I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to see it.
Hell no. He need to go out there with you to see that shit. Hell no. Once you saw that, it's over, bro. Talk about getting on the bus and I can't get off the bus no more after I see that.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, well, I swear to God. I told him, I said, I'm done. I said, I'm taking my football gear in 6:30 in the morning. I'm turning it in. And I'm done. I said, I'm done with football. Well, every Friday night, you had to hear his last name on the radio. And he said, no. I said, well, if you can't pick me up, you're never going to hear your last name on again every Friday night. That was our game night.
Right.
And I said, you'll never hear that name again. He said, I'll be there. He said, I'll be there tomorrow night.
Ain't that a bitch?
Yeah. I was pissed. I was upset. But when I went to practice the next day, dude, that's all I could think of. Practice, I couldn't think of the playbook. I couldn't remember none of my plays. The only thing I was worried about was his ass going to be there at the end of the road.
To pick you up, huh?
To pick me up, dude. Yeah. Hell yeah. Because by God, if he wasn't there, and dude, that bus pulled in at the end of my road, and mind you, it was just as dark. I told him my dad wasn't there. He wasn't there. Mind you, I was furious. Furious. But here's set a little red, you ever heard of a 40 XP? A little two-seater? It's a little sports car. It was a Ford EXP. I was 15 at the time. I didn't even have a driver's license. But this little red car was sitting there, and but it had a letter taped to the window of a driver's side. I told my bus driver, I said, hey, man, his name was Etley. I said, can you please keep the headlights on that car? He said, yeah, because my dad's company letterhead was in yellow. And that letter I could see from the bus was yellow. So I told him, I said, can you please sit here for a minute and keep the lights on that car? He said, yeah. Well, it was my dad's letterhead, and he said, hey, the keys are in the gas cap. He said, don't leave the hall until you get your license. And man, was I happy. I was like, holy shit, never walking this road again.
I should have been barging through that goddamn door. I'd have been had me a car, huh?
But no, I swear to God, still to this day, and my brother and all my family can tell you, every time I get to that point in that reservoir, I'll beep the horn twice, even still to this day, for how many times that fucker made me run home.
Man,
I ran home.
Wild.
Yeah, yeah,
God, I wish you wouldn't have told me the story on air. I wish we. Boy, I would have had so much fun telling this story. Oh my God, that's wild, dude.
yeah. I swear to God on my life, yeah, still this day, man. I still beat the horn twice when I get to that place. For how many times he fucking made me run home.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh God, that's
I've never,
hilarious.
that right there, I've never met a fear that make you go completely numb. Yeah, I went completely numb. But hey, buddy, I'm glad I got to bend your ear, and
Man,
I'm glad you listened.
no man, I appreciate you calling me, man. That's some of the best storytelling I heard in a long time, brother. It really is.
Hey, I swear to God, it's all the truth. If you're ever up here in West Virginia, look me up.
Absolutely,
I'll
I
get,
will.
I'll shoot you a text. I'll take you up there and let you see the place.
No, I would love to see that, man. Shoot me a text on this number and it's gonna come to me, and I'll save everything.
Okay, here, hold on, let me get my phone here. And me and my dog, we're down here. My service where my house is at is kind of spotty, so we drove down the road here. Yeah, yeah. Uh, okay, I got. How do I do it?
Use 504-354-0143. Just text to that number, and then
Okay, all right,
I'll have
brother.
you saved there. All right, brother. Great talking to you, man.
Hey, great talking to you, man. Hey, thanks a lot for your ear.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Wow. Man, that's freaking hilarious, dude. That's terrifying and hilarious all at the freaking same time. I mean, it really is. It's terrifying and hilarious all at the same time. Oh my God. You guys just don't understand. But you're actually getting an example of the conversations that happen behind the scenes. Literally, those type of conversations. And those are the kind of stories that you'd be like, oh my God, that was so funny. That was hilarious. But the tonality, the personality, I mean, phenomenal personality. That dude is cool as shit. I want to have a beer with him and smoke a freaking cigar and go by the reservoir and sit out there and hold a horn down and piss that thing off. That's crazy. All right, guys, we've been going for 3 hours and 9 minutes, 440 people, 389 likes. That's phenomenal. It would be nice if we got closer to 400, but I ain't gonna bitch and complain about it. I will not be complaining about it. I'm gonna close it out, climb into the bed, probably turn on. I, before I go, there's this show. Wait, where did she go? Candy Girl, you need to put your Cash App in the chat with the total number of ums. The last time I checked, I was at like 19, which is not bad, but it was almost 19. I've been watching this show on Netflix. Well, I started watching it last week. Well, earlier this week. What's the day? Friday. Started watching it Monday night. With the Key House. Damn it. And I don't know if you guys have seen that TV show on Netflix, The Key House. It's actually alluding to the greater keys and lesser keys of Solomon. But go check it out. They've taken that whole Keys of Solomon and actually turned it into a TV show. And if you don't know what you're watching, then you kind of think you're watching entertainment. I watch it. I'm like, oh, okay. So you guys decided you're gonna talk about the greater and lesser keys of Solomon and include it into a house. And there's a demon key, an invisibility key, a wind key, a ghost key. It's crazy. You should check it out. Yeah, I know, Keith. That's like $20. Where is she? Candy Girl. Now y'all snitching on me, man. What's up, King David, man? I mean, Keith King. You just snitching on me, homie? Come on, bruh. Hold me down, man. I don't even see her anymore. I owe her $20 though, guys. So the next live stream when she pops up, she needs to post her Cash App. She'll get it live on air. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for tonight. I'm going to close this out. Before I close it out, I love you. I appreciate you. You guys make this a phenomenal show. Why? Because you are absolutely amazing people. Each and every one of you, awesome individuals. I've said this before. You guys don't get it, but I'm going to prove another point. I said on YouTube, you attract people like you. You really do. Like it's a microcosm of life. In life, you tend to attract the type of personality type that you are. So if you find yourself attracting the wrong type of people, work on yourself and you'll attract the right type of people, right? In the Dark Waters family, we attract like-minded people. People are pretty laid back. They're cool. They're funny, knowledgeable, intelligent, extremely smart, well versed across all spectrums of religion, and that's what you see here. And so when you go find the show host and you listen to a show host and you find an audience that show host has that's like crazy and maniacal and insane, then you're looking at a direct reflection of that person. Never forget that. That's a valuable lesson. If you meet a person, let's say you out in the public, run across a person and they're with their friends, and you notice how their friends are behaving, they can put on fake airs all they want. And they can be prim and proper. Watch their friends. If their friends are lunatics, that's that person the other person's a fucking lunatic. Period. No way around it. That's how it works. That's how universe works. That's how God created this universe. Because it gives us a test. It gives us an opportunity to learn about ourselves and to change ourselves and grow. We always have a mirror in front of our face. Literally, we always have a mirror in front of our face. Everything is a mirror that shows you who you are and gives you an opportunity to make a change. If you look at it the right way, you'll see it. Real deal. That's some real deep shit right there. It's deep. Deep. I'm talking about deeper than the abyss. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Into the Dark Waters. I am James Williams, also known as Dog Waters. 21 ums. Not bad. We're going to get that down, and I'm going to keep going. I'll come back tomorrow night. I got to come. Sean is between 7 and 9. I'll come back on tomorrow because I need to get it down to 0 ums in 3 hours. And that is actually my brain processing words slower than it's supposed to. So it's my mouth giving my brain a second to process the words that need to come out. And the only way you work past that is just to keep talking. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Oh my God, I love Finding Nemo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I love you. God bless you. We are out of here. And the rocket, the bombs bursting in.